On this episode of This is Game Boy.
When we find that meteor, we'll find Dr. Wily.
Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of This is Game Boy. Here I am again, Moelle. Hello everybody. And with me, of course, as always for these full episodes is eBloodyCandy.
Hello.
So yeah, before we dive into this week's, I always say that, I should stop saying that, this episode's game, we will of course talk a little bit about what have we been up to. I'll let TBC start with what he has been up to.
I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I finished it, finally though. I platinumed Assassin's Creed Valhalla, 100%ed it, took 150 hours. And then they released what they call the Yule events, which is a limited time content patch. They released River Raids, which is a free content patch that lets you go down 3 different rivers for a new piece of gear, essentially, and build onto your settlement. So I did that. That took about 7 hours to 100%. So did all that. Now we're waiting for the actual Valhalla paid DLC, which is Wrath of Druids, that comes out in March. That'll take us to Ireland. So I'm assuming a St. Paddy's Day release for that one.
That game will never end.
Yeah. I did Batman: The Enemy Within, which is the Season 2 Batman Telltale game. Obviously platinum. You just platinum Telltale games if you play them. So, yeah. Super good game. Super good game. Could not recommend this Telltale game anymore. It is action-packed from start to finish. There are a ton of different endings. The progression of the Joker in the game is so good. So good. I don't typically care for Batman games all too terribly much. Like the Batman series, I kind of enjoy. Like I really like Batman villains. But the Batman Enemy Within, if you're looking for a Telltale game to play, Batman Enemy Within, super good. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'll definitely pick it up one day because I really enjoyed the first one as well. Yeah, I'm not that big into Batman either. I like him, but I don't really read the comics or watch all the series or anything. But yeah, I always check out things Batman because I do enjoy them. So yeah, I do want to check that game out as well someday.
Yeah, I like the dark nature of Batman. But this season 1 Batman wasn't bad, because you had the Penguin, Lady Arkham, and
I don't remember actually.
You had Two-Face,
Yeah.
Penguin, and Lady Arkham, and a little bit of Catwoman. And this one you get Joker, Catwoman, Harley Quinn, Bane, and Mr. Freeze.
All right.
And the Riddler. It's a lot, and it's awesome, and it progresses very well. Yeah, super good game. Then I went to do some MS-DOS stuff. I did some speedruns and some playthroughs. I did Jill of the Jungle. For those that don't know what Jill of the Jungle is, it came out in 1992 for MS-DOS, and it was a trilogy. So it's just a basic puzzle platformer game. Takes 20 minutes to beat.
Okay.
It's super fun. It has some fire music though. The music of that game is so good. And then I played Hugo 3, the Jungle of Doom, and I did some speedruns of that as well. Again, another MS-DOS game that came out in 1992. The difference between the two is Hugo 3 is a text-based game where you have to type in, search plane, grab this, grab that.
Right.
Jill the Jungle is just a left to right platformer. So
yeah, I'm not familiar with many DOS games. Basically, the only two I will always remember are Commander Keen and Secret Agent. I love those games. Both of Apogee, of course. But yeah, I didn't have a computer growing up, so I haven't played many of those games. So.
Yeah, Hugo is part of a trilogy as well too. I grew up played Hugo 3 and Jill the Jungle on an old Apple II. Back in the early 90s, those are some of my first games I remember playing on the computer. So it was fun to get DOSBox up and running and to be able to play those games again. It was kind of fun. That's really all I've been up to in terms of gameplay. Like I said, I beat Batman last night. This week I'm getting ready for Retro Month, which is the entire month of March. I'm playing retro games. Going from, I have a list of consoles even. Virtual Boy, yeah, well, I'll be able to stream Virtual Boy. Everyone's excited to watch that. All that red and black content. Virtual Boy, NES, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and the OG Xbox. And y'all are probably wondering, why don't you have GameCube on there? Because I only own like 6 GameCube games, and I hate that console, so it's not on the list.
What a shame.
So,
what a shame.
I own 2 good games for the GameCube. 3 good games for the GameCube. Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time with the Master Quest.
Yeah.
And Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Those are the only 3 good games I own. I own Brawl or Melee. No one cares about Melee. It's the worst Smash Brothers in the series. So
and there goes 90% of our audience. And we should hire a new producer now as well.
Smash 64 is the best Smash Brothers in the entire series, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
Any game with 64 in the title is pure garbage, so there you go.
But the biggest reason I don't like the GameCube is I don't like the GameCube controller. Everyone hails it as this awesome controller. I absolutely hate it because I have giant hands, and the controller is really hard to hold with big hands. So
yeah, I love that controller.
Yeah. So that's the biggest reason GameCube's not on there is because I just don't have that many games for it. Right. But and Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance isn't on there because my Game Boy player doesn't work right now. So everything with the GameCube is a disaster right now for me. But yeah, so I'm spending the weekend getting that ready. So the next time you hear from me, whether it's a light or a full episode, it's going to be a bunch of retro games instead of the newer stuff. So. But yeah, that's really all I've been up to. What have you been up to?
Yeah, I haven't done much either, to be honest. Especially not since our last recording. This morning I beat Ys 9 Monstrum Nox. Did a playthrough on the normal settings. Yeah, love this game. It's absolutely amazing. I think I mentioned it before, maybe in my light that I recorded before this. It's a good continuation of what they established game mechanics-wise in 8, Lacrimosa of Dana. And yeah, it just builds upon that. It's a little bit shorter than that game, a little bit more compact, which made it better in my opinion. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting the platinum on that, but I'm gonna take a little break from it because like it's still an RPG, so it took me like 30 hours, so an action RPG. So I'm gonna take a little break from it, but it's gonna be easy to get back into it because it's New Game Plus, so you keep everything you had before. So it will be a cakewalk to get through a nightmare mode. The only thing that I'm kind of sad about is that for one of the trophies you need to fill out all the people entries in your journal. And this is a new game, so not that much information is known about it yet, but I also played it without any type of guide because the East series are really beginner friendly, I would say, when it comes to action RPG, so there's nothing really missable. But of course, there was one thing that was missable, which I of course missed. So now I have 77 out of 78 entries in my journal, and yeah, there's no way to get that back again. And New Game Plus, the one thing it doesn't keep is that thing, so I have to basically talk to everybody again. It's not a big deal, but I was kind of sad to find that out right as I was finishing up the game, that I just missed one of those things, so I don't get the trophy. But yeah, I'll get to that in in the Nightmare playthrough one day. And I also bought Spider-Man Miles Morales for PS4, that is. I didn't get this game when it came out because I wanted to get it on PlayStation 5, but then I realized that I will probably not get a PlayStation 5 for the next 2 years. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get it for PS4. It comes with a free upgrade for PS5 anyways whenever I might get one. I don't know if I'll replay it by that point, but so yeah, I've started that up today basically. I've only played like an hour. It's a good sequel to the other Spider-Man game. Like, there's nothing more I can say about it. Because I haven't played that much of it, but it plays the same. The only thing I'm surprised of is, and I know that was an article that appeared right when the game came out, but I have no idea what they did with Peter Parker's face. They changed it and it just doesn't look right. So, but he's only in the game for like the intro anyway. So yeah, that's a weird choice that they changed his face, but. Yeah, besides that, it's Spider-Man. I mean, everybody loved the the new Spider-Man game by, who made it again? Insomniac, that's it.
Insomniac.
Yeah, so yeah, this is great. Like, it's just a continuation of that. And it's a short game as well, which I can use right about now because I've played too many long games. Not only in my spare time, but also for the system challenge. So, yeah, looking forward to just playing through Spider-Man, having some fun. And there's no difficulty trophies or what bullshit they throw at you. It's just an easy playthrough of the game without having anything to worry about. So it's always nice to have that. But yeah, those are the non-Game Boy games I played. The 2 Game Boy games I have been able to play since my Lite, I guess, are The Sword of Hope, which is a early Western-styled RPG, but made by a Japanese company, by Camco. And when I say Western style, I mean, it's like, you can't call it dungeon crawler, but it kind of is. Like, you have to, like, say, move forward, move to the left, move to the right, check something, or open something. But on a very low scale, it's not super deep or anything. It's a good game, but it has a lot of issues, probably because it was their first attempt. Maybe on Game Boy, maybe they've made more on other systems before this, but yeah, like, the fighting is not so much fun because of the way they programmed it. You would expect from an RPG, if you get a new weapon or a new armor, that your minimum value of it, like, I'll take the sword for example, like, and these are just numbers I'm throwing out there, these are not the actual numbers, but let's say that the first sword you get does 1 to 10 damage, and then you get the upgrade and you would expect it to go from 0-10 to 10-20. No, it just goes from 0-10 to 0-20. So there's still, well, 1, not 0, unless you miss, of course, but there's still a high probability that you will hit a low number. So it doesn't really feel like an upgrade at all, because usually you just roll a low number anyways. So that's one of the problems with that game. Like, you get stronger, but you don't feel like you're getting stronger, and you keep getting beaten, and then you have to go all the way back because yes, you have to like go through every screen again and again, and the monsters are random, and you don't know when they're gonna show up, and it's just those little things that start to tear you down by the end of the game because you're just tired of it. You just want to move on, but the game doesn't let you. But all in all, it was a fun experience, at least to get through, but it took me like 11 hours, and this game could have been done in like 5 hours, basically. So, I've heard that the sequel is a lot better, so that's something to look forward to, at least. And then I played a little game called Nail and Scale. And Nail and Scale is something that a lot of people will probably not have heard about. It's a little action puzzle game. For the first 40 stages, it's more action than puzzle, but then it gets a little bit more puzzly. But it's basically all these short rooms that can be done within a minute that you have to go through. And the way this works is you're a guy that throws nails that can go into walls, and then you can jump on top of the nails and use them to platform. But you can also use them to destroy enemies or break blocks. Like if you shoot a spike into one of the blocks, you jump on top of the spike and then it breaks the block. Like, it's a real simple concept, at least. But there are two things about this game that are not that great. And the first one is, if you do not have the manual, you do not know that there is a continue system. It's one of those games where they just don't give you the option to continue, but you have to hold A and press start after you game over. Then you go into the level select screen. But yeah, it's in the manual, so it's not a cheat code. It's actually how they made this game. And you only have 5 lives, so you are gonna game over. Like, there's no way that you're playing through this game without ever game over. And there's no extra lives or anything like that. So, so yeah, luckily we do have the manual in the database. Thank God we have that, because otherwise it would have been a whole other game. And there's 2 modes in this game, easy and hard. Easy gives you a higher jump, which makes it a lot easier, definitely. And like hard mode also has like a 3-minute timer on each level. But again, none of the levels should take you that long, except for the more puzzly ones that you have to figure out first. But yeah. But a second thing that I came across, and this broke the game for me, I actually got really mad at this. So if you continue, you just continue from the last stage you were on, even though you go to a level select. But it always stays on the last level you were at. But I played through the game, I got until level 47, there's 50 in the game, so I was almost at the end. And I couldn't figure out what to do at all in that room. Like, nothing was possible. So after 15 minutes, I was like, I need to look this up. Like, there's no other way. Maybe I'm totally stupid right now, but I feel like there's no way to do this. So I look at the walkthrough on GameFAQs, and the walkthrough says, oh yeah, but you have to use one of your bomb things, bomb nails. That's like an item you can pick up to destroy a block, and then you can progress and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but I have no bomb nails at all. Like, you just start clean if you continue. Like, I don't have anything. That can't be the way. And then I looked up John Carl's playthrough, and lo and behold, he was stuck on the same part, because he didn't have any bomb thingies, so he had to back travel to a previous level, stock up on bomb nails, just to get through that stage. So that's what I had to do as well. And sadly, stage 46 is one of the dumbest stages in that entire game, where you can pick up a lot of bomb thingies, but you also have to kill yourself a few times just to have a stock that you can carry over to the next level. So I think it's an oversight, honestly, from the programmers, that they were like, oh, you're supposed to actually have an inventory before you get there, and then you can easily do this. But if you game over and you have nothing, you're totally stuck there. You've soft-locked yourself out of the rest of the game. So, yeah, it's really weird because none of the other stages, none that come before, none that come after, yeah, there's only 2, of course, but they don't require that at all. So I think it's just an oversight, and that's really sad because otherwise this is a really, really fun game. So, but yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind for people who are trying to pick this up. And I do recommend you pick this up because it's super fun. But yeah, luckily you can do the level select and go back. But yeah, if you don't have bomb nails, and I think you need... I went in with 7, and that was barely enough, so no. Very sad that they ruined the game with that thing, actually.
I mean, there's a pretty easy fix for that. Just put in the Game Genie.
Sure, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it has a few... like, the continue system... like, if you don't have the manual, you're screwed, and that thing, like, it's weird, because otherwise it's a perfectly fun game, and that just kind of ruined it, but, yeah. But yeah, that's all I have been playing, so not that much, sadly.
Oh, looks like a copy of Nail and Scale is about $25.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's that an expensive game or anything.
Well, the cover art looks baller on it. There's dragons in the game?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Data East game. Oh, heck yeah. I'd probably play that then. I like Data East games.
Yeah, it's a really cool game. Just be aware of those 2 things and you'll be fine.
Complete in box, $90. We've had this discussion earlier before we started recording. Goddamn retro market right now. Yeah, I watched you play Sword of Hope a bit, and I watched you get stuck, or not, maybe not stuck, but like you were missing a seed. So,
right, yeah, like it's an old RPG, so of course it's a little bit esoteric on telling you what to do. But there's like, but that thing just didn't show up. There's a way to get hints in the game, and they do help you, but this was just an oversight from me because I had no idea this was part of the game. But sometimes you have to talk to people twice to advance, and I just didn't realize that. So, yeah, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, besides that, I got stuck on a few things, but I eventually figured it out. It's not that hard, but the biggest gripe with that game is like having to redo so much every time. So.
I never played the first one. I've played the second Sword of Hope, which is actually pretty good. But I haven't played the first one.
Yeah.
And I haven't played a Ys game yet either. I own 2 of them, but I have yet to play them.
Yeah, I always recommend these games. Like, it doesn't even matter which version or a remake or whatever. Like, maybe the very first ones are a little bit outdated at this point, but every Ys game I've ever played in my life, I absolutely enjoyed, so.
I've heard nothing but good things about them. Yeah. I've watched speedruns of them during Handheld Hero, when that was a thing still, but
yeah,
I've personally never played one.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like the original ones. Like, I think it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, because combat is bump combat. If you don't know what that is, it's like you can't slash your sword or anything. You literally run into enemies to level up. So it's kind of weird, but they're all super cool in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, that's all we've been up to. Pretty boring lives right now.
Yeah.
This episode is kind of a interesting episode because we typically don't cover quote unquote big name games, but
yeah, well, yeah, the reason for this is everybody knows already. We're gonna talk about Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge, but the thing is why I wanted to do this episode, because I was like, do you want to do Mega Man or I don't remember what my other choice was. But the reason I wanted to do an episode on this, and maybe in the future the other Mega Man games, who knows, but still a lot of times when I'm looking at somebody streaming one of these games, people still come in and they are like, there's Mega Man on Game Boy? I never knew that. And that always catches me by surprise, because this is one of the biggest gaming IPs out there. And everybody knows that there's Mario on Game Boy, there's Kirby on Game Boy. Of course, Kirby started on Game Boy. They know Wario is from Game Boy. They know Castlevania is on Game Boy. But for some reason, people are always surprised that there's Mega Man on Game Boy. And there's 5 of them, even.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that always catches me by surprise. And that's why I wanted to do an episode about Mega Man for sure. Because maybe a lot of people just don't realize there's actually a Mega Man series on Game Boy. So, yeah.
And they're good.
Yeah, well,
except for 2 of them.
Yeah.
But
well, 4 of them are good. and one is there.
One exists. Yeah. We'll be talking about Mega Man 1, Dr. Wily's Revenge, or Rockman World 1. When we come back, stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed Enker's theme from Wily's Fortress 1. And we'll be going over Enker here kind of shortly, I guess.
Yeah.
Depends how fast I want to talk.
Yeah, even people who don't know this game might know that song because it was in Mega Man 10, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never played 10. I stopped after 7. I played 11, but anyway. Tangent. Release date. So, obviously, Japan got it first. Came out on July 26th, 1991 in Japan. December of 1991 in the US. 1992 in Europe. And holy smokes, 1995 in Australia.
Yeah, I don't know what that is about.
Take that, Australia.
Very weird. But yeah, just as a general thing to keep in mind is that this game basically came out a few months after the release of Mega Man 4 for NES. So there were already 4 Mega Man games before this one.
Mega Man. Yeah, this is pretty early still in the Game Boy life cycle. Remember, the Game Boy came out in 89. This is 91, so 2 years later, it's still fairly early in the Mega Man or in the Game Boy life cycle. So, developed by Minakuchi Engineering.
Mm-hmm. Yep, not by Capcom, but by Minakuchi Engineering, who don't exist anymore, sadly. But
I've never even heard of them.
Yeah, if you, and I don't know if you mentioned it back then actually, but if you listen to our very first episode of the podcast, when we talked about Solar Striker, they made it. Well, they made it together with R&D1, of course, of Nintendo, but they were responsible for this, and they have been responsible for a lot of other games you definitely know. For
Bionic Commando?
The Game Boy version, which is different than the NES version.
It is, yeah.
And they also, of course, made Mega Man 3, Mega Man 4, and Mega Man 5 for Game Boy. we'll get to that one day maybe. Why 2 was not made by them, but they also made the Wily Wars on Genesis.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, that's not that great, of course, but something they don't
X3.
realize. Yeah, they made X3 for the Super Nintendo. Oh. And that's about all they did. They made a few other games, but nothing that anybody will remember, sadly. But that's basically all they did.
They did Turbo Force on the arcade.
Yes.
Okay, I know who these people are now. Okay.
Yeah.
Good job, Minakuchi Engineering.
Yeah.
You made a good childhood. And you have a quote here. Quote from Inafune?
Inafune, yeah. The creator of Mega Man. Yeah, so, I have the Mega Man and Mega Man X art collection 25th anniversary blah 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 book. So there's a few quotes in there. About this game, he had to say, and because we're talking about the developer, this was the first Mega Man game ever to be outsourced. Yes, there was a DOS game, but it was actually just made by a fan. Wasn't actually made by a... Well, outsourced. Like they didn't ask for that. They just saw it and they were like, "Oh yeah, you can put our name on that for some reason." So I was curious about what kind of Mega Man game an outsider would create. The team leader of World 1, because it's Rockman World in Japan, was a huge Mega Man fan, and I could see right away that he really got it. In some ways, you might say he understood Mega Man better than some of our own people. I think this was the main reason Rockman World 1 turned out so well. And I agree.
Yeah, it's a good game. Published by Capcom/Nintendo, obviously. And then composer Makoto Tomozawa. I'm so awful with names. I can barely pronounce my own name. But I gotta open up that linky link here. Mega Man Legends series. Oh, they've done a ton.
Yeah,
so,
he's an in-house composer for Capcom.
Yeah, so Mega Man, Resident Evil, Dino Crisis. Now that's a game. Street Fighter. So yeah, lots of banger soundtracks from this person. That's for sure. Composition and arrangement for most of the OST for Dr. Wily's Revenge. Even the unused song, which I believe you have queued up for this episode.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, very good composer. You will definitely have heard a lot of his songs throughout the years.
Plot. Oh boy, where's the plot at? Oh, there it is.
It's not a lot of plot.
I can do the plot.
Yeah.
Just the old headphones here. Crack the back, gotta get ready. Old man gotta get ready to read a page here. This person did not scan this manual very well. The 6 is cut off on the bottom. He's a mad scientist. Mega Man, once again, you must save the world because Dr. Wily just won't stop. This time, the unbelievably insane scientist has restored 8 of the robot masters you previously mashed into metal marmalade. I haven't read the word marmalade in years. 4 of them, Iceman, Electric Man, Cutman, and Fireman, are running wild and tearing up the town. Those are the nice ones. Another 4, Quickman, Heatman, Bubbleman, and Flashman, are lurking in Dr. Wily's complex with a factory full of industrial-strength robot smashers that you won't believe. But that's nothing compared to what you'll face in Dr. Wily's space node. So load up the plasma cannon, Mega Man. It's time to get the lead out.
Yeah, there's your plot. You can definitely notice that whoever wrote the actual story for the manual has no idea what Mega Man is. And they just wrote something that sounded cool for the 90s, like mashed into metal marmalade. That's so 90s. But yeah, he definitely has no idea what Mega Man is. But basically, this is a spin-off series of the Mega Man franchise, so it's not confirmed nor denied that this takes place in the same universe. It kinda does, but it's just like an in-between game or something, you would say. And if I remember correctly, in the Archie Mega Man comics, they do tie Mega Man 1 in really good with the overall story. So definitely check that out if you haven't read any of those comics. I really enjoyed them when I read them. It's been a few years. I think I stopped after the Mega Man 3 plot, if I remember correctly. But they did tie it in very nicely there. But yeah, basically Dr. Wily is up to his old shenanigans again, and he has resurrected, or rebuilt, I guess, some of the old robots from Mega Man 1 and Mega Man 2. And that will become more clear when we talk about what is happening in the game itself.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always appreciated about the Mega Man Game Boy games, with the exception of 5, because it's its own thing, is that they always combined two of the Mega Mans together.
Yeah,
I always appreciated that. But yeah, diving into gameplay, it's a Mega Man game.
Yeah.
What?
Well, yeah. The gameplay, nobody knows how to play Mega Man.
It's a Mega Man game. You press B to shoot your lemons. You press A to jump. Start goes into your inventory or your weapon select screen. The great thing about this Mega Man, though, there is no rush jet, or no rush at all. Mm-hmm. So everything kind of just fits on one screen. There's no like menu paging or anything like that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as this kind of takes place after 1 and 2, Mega Man does not have a slide yet, or does not have a charge yet. So they really did a good job of tying it into the actual series, and looking at the source material and being like, oh, you know what, he doesn't have that yet. And it's also a good way to start making one of these games, basically, because you don't have to worry about those mechanics yet. And again, it's a very early Game Boy game as well, so Minakuchi Engineering, besides Solar Striker, didn't have that much experience with the Game Boy yet. So it was a really good idea of stripping him from those power-ups, basically, to make this game.
Yeah, it's a pure Mega Man. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Very pure. So yeah, let's dive into the stages. So right away, as soon as you press start, you're immediately greeted with the first 4 Robot Masters that we just went over: Cutman, Electman, Iceman, and Fireman.
Yeah. So they didn't include Bomb Man or Gutsman.
Gutsman, yeah. Oh yeah, Mega Man 1 only had 6 Robot Masters. That's right.
Yeah. They retconned that, of course, during Mega Man Powered Up for PSP, where they introduced Oil Man and Time Man. And I think, if I remember correctly, they were supposed to be in the very first Mega Man game for NES, but they just ran out of space, basically.
You'll have that.
Yeah.
We'll basically just go in order. Cutman, top left corner option. Cutman has 19 hit points and does 4 attack damage. We'll call this the first stage, because like most Mega Mans, you can choose which stage is your first stage. But we'll call this the first stage. But this being the actual first stage, because most people are just going to click on Cutman to begin with, this is a very tough stage.
Yes.
Just right out of the gate, like this is a very hard stage. You are introduced to enemies literally as soon as you spawn in. As soon as you tap right for a couple seconds, you're greeted with a sprinkler that shoots lemons at you and a wheel of doom that comes flying at you. I don't know their actual names. I actually tried to look them up in the manual, but they're not in the manual.
They're not in the manual, but in true Mega Man fashion, they show the names during the credits.
So they're the sprinkler and the wheel of doom.
I'm trying to remember now, but I think it's just
you don't even know the
Screwy and oh boy, yeah, the other one I do the that fireball thingy I can't come up with right now. I'll just load up the credits meanwhile.
Oh, that's a fireball?
Kinda.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was a wheel.
It's some kind of wheel, fireball, whatever.
The first section of the stage introduces basically the main enemies of the stage, which are the sprinklers that shoot lemons and the wheels of doom. Those are the two enemies you'll commonly come across this entire stage. The stage does have a lot of tight platforming, and by tight I mean like one block jumps over pits while dealing with the sprinklers and the wheels of doom. And then much like in Mega Man fashion, if you get hit, you kind of get pushed backwards, whatever way that you're facing. So if you're standing on the edge near a pit and you get hit, chances are you're going to fall into the pit and die. As you progress through the stage, you're going to end up with conveyor belts that move you left or right automatically, and then if you move in the direction that they're going, you make Mega Man move a bit faster. This also is present in platforming as well too, where you have to jump over pits onto other conveyor belts while dodging the wheels of doom, cutting wheel. That's what it's called. So you have the cutting wheel where if you get it, usually typically starts on the ceiling, and as you approach it, it drops from the ceiling and it revs up and spins at you until you either kill it or it flies off the platform to its own death. And while on a conveyor belt, that can be a little tricky at times because, well, you're trying to stay on a conveyor belt that's moving, all while trying to avoid a cutting wheel or the wheel of doom, as you would. So there's a little bit of anxiety that kind of ensues right away with the game, but as you do progress through the game, you do come across what is the Big Eye and the Sniper Joe. The Sniper Joe is, well, your Joe. He has the shield up. He's going to shoot 3 shots at you and put the shield back up. While the shield is down and he's shooting at you, that's your chance to kind of lay into him with just jumping in between the shots, because the shots are spaced enough for Mega Man to jump in between of them. When the shield is up, your shots just get reflected, dinged off. The Big Eye is kind of a jerk because the Big Eye can do 2 things. He can either do a short jump or a tall jump. Since you can't slide in the game, you're really hoping for a tall jump to just run underneath of it, but chances are it's going to do a short jump and just do a bunch of damage to you right away. I personally never fight these things. I just either run through them or run underneath them if I'm lucky enough, because I just don't like to deal with them because they take too long to kill.
Yeah, this is one of the problems that this game has with some of the rooms they designs. First of all, you have to definitely take in mind the graphics for this game. They did not go with like a downsized version of anything. They literally took the NES sprites and used those, which in my opinion is the best idea that they could have done. I don't think Mega Man would have worked well if they would have changed the sprites into something more of a style like they did with Super Mario Land 1. Maybe a little bigger than that, but anyways. But I think it was a very good choice of them to just basically do a one-on-one conversion when it comes to the sprites. They did change the levels, of course. Like, this is not a port of the NES version. This is not based on the NES version, besides the enemies and the robots that you will encounter in the game. All of these stages are original designs, so it's definitely not a conversion of that at all. But with using those large sprites for a Game Boy game, you always come across a big problem. There is just not enough room for maneuverability. In most of the screens, this is not a problem because the level design actually works around that, so you do have the ability to move out of the way whenever you have to. But when it comes to this first room with a big eye in it, it is one of the it's probably the worst room in the game. It comes after a checkpoint, sadly. If the checkpoint would have been after that, it would have been fine. But at this point in the game, unless you have fought any of the other robots, which I highly do not recommend.
No.
Like Cutman is just the best stage to start with. Let's just go with that. You have no real way to defeat the big eye, and like EBC said, the big eye can do two things: short jump or high jump, and 75% of the time it will be a short jump. So you just have to take the damage from him. There's just no way around it. Even if you could shoot him, there's no way around it. You will get hit by him, and it takes 1/3 of your life away. And yeah, it's just a badly done room, sadly. If they would have put a Sniper Joe in there, it would have been perfectly fine. But they had to go with the big eye for some variation, which I get. But it's just a very, very horrible enemy to put there and get around, and it will scare a lot of people for sure. Like the only way to basically destroy big eyes in this game is with Cutman's weapon, which you don't have at this point, of course, or with
and Bubble
which you will not get anytime soon either. So yeah, it's just a weird room to put there for sure.
Yeah, and then we have the super cutters too, which are, I call them Pac-Mans.
Yeah,
but they're basically they look like a Pac-Man that kind of circle around a fixed point with a choppy motion that you can either just run past some of the times depending on the pattern, or just do a couple jumps through them and you're perfectly fine. They are kind of littered towards the end of the stage, but they really don't pose that big of a threat. They're just kind of there to be there.
Mm-hmm. If you know their pattern, you know how to avoid them easily.
Yeah. But like we said, go to Cutman first. Cutman does have a weakness, and it's Firestorm.
Yeah, they do have weaknesses, like in all. Yeah, if you can defeat another boss, you can use it for sure.
But trust, you'll want to start with Cutman, because you're gonna make Fireman Stage a lot easier with Cutman done. Cutman is a brutally hard fight. In my opinion, it is the hardest fight in the game.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Yeah. He's just very hectic.
Yeah, he's so spontaneous that it's really hard to get what's about to happen. So Cutman can do a few things. Even though the patterns are quote unquote simple, because he kind of just does the same things like a jump and a throw, he can do them really just whenever he wants, and depending on your timing and how you're set up, there's a chance that you're going to get bodied by Cutman, and getting bodied by Cutman does a lot of damage. I was actually trying to find the numbers of how much damage this stuff did, but I couldn't find actual numbers. I could find hit points of
yeah, for him it's 4. It doesn't matter if he hits you with his body or with his sexual cutter. It's always going to be 4 damage.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, and I think in this game you have
19 hit points.
Yeah, so not 20, 19 for some reason.
So Cutman can do a couple things. He can run at you, stop abruptly, and then throw his cutter, which is a cutter itself is really easy to avoid. It's just jump over it, shoot, jump over it, shoot. Cutman can either throw the cutter again, or he's going to run and jump at you. And if you're too far away, you're not going to be able to get underneath Cutman, so you're going to take 4 damage right then and there. And if you're not ready for it, Cutman can just turn around and jump over you again. And if you're not ready for that jump again, you're going to take an additional 4 damage. The fight is it's super, super hectic, and you have to be on your toes at all times for the fight. You're probably if you're going into the fight without full health, you're probably guaranteed to die. And even when you go into the fight with full health, you may come out of it with a couple of hit points left. It's a very hard fight, but once you get through it, you have by far probably the best weapon and by far the most useful weapon in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's Cutman. And then in true Mega Man fashion again, once you defeat a Robot Master, you blink out, and you get the little scene at the end, the cutscene saying that you got, whatever weapon that you obtained from that Robot Master. In this case, it's rolling cutter. So
yeah, that's about does it
that's
for the Cutman stage.
Yeah.
So yeah, afterwards the best route to take really is going to Elecman. And Elecman is a little bit different of a stage. Instead of just your typical left to right, this is a vertical stage, going from the bottom to the top, because you're basically climbing like an electric tower. This stage is more about platforming than actually battling, which is good. But yeah, Elecman will be at the bottom left, not Electric Man like like the manual said. I've never heard him being called Electric Man. That's so funny. But yeah, it's the bottom left one. So his weakness is the rolling cutter, so you definitely wanna go there. But yeah, like I said, this is like more of a platforming stage, and it shows you right at the start that it is gonna be a platforming stage, because lo and behold, there are the Yoku Blocks immediately from the start. So for people who don't know what Yoku Blocks are, those are not the official name, but we have taken up that name. It's those disappearing blocks you see throughout the Mega Man games. Where Yoku comes from is from a fan game, actually. Is it Unlimited? Yeah, Mega Man Unlimited. One of the best fan games ever made. But there is a hidden boss in that game. Made by not the actual team, but one of the people working in the background on some music and on some designs, called Star Sims. It's been a while since I've spoken to him, but we did speak for quite a while. But yeah, he made the secret boss for that game, who's called Yoku Man, and Yoku Man is basically the guy who creates those blocks. So ever since that game came out, everybody just keeps calling the disappearing blocks Yoku Blocks, and it's also a lot easier to just say that instead of disappearing blocks. So yeah, Yoku Blocks they are. So yeah, you'll have to deal with that a lot. There's also a lot of electricity you will need to avoid throughout this stage, and there's a lot of fans that will blow you backwards. So that's the main hazard in this stage. There are a few enemies. The good old Susies are there. If you ever played a Mega Man game, you definitely recognize those. It's those square guys with an eye in the middle that go from the left to the right or from the top to the bottom and are stationary. It's the first time we'll see them. Well, these guys have been called a lot of things. The medals. This is the first time you'll see them. It's those helmets that are on the ground that open up and you can shoot them. And it also has the Kaminari Goro, which is a guy that's on a cloud that throws thunder at you. And if you defeat him, you can jump up on his cloud, basically.
Just like Airman Stage and Mega Man 2.
Yeah, that's where they come from, indeed. So yeah, that's basically this entire stage. You keep going upwards and upwards, trying to avoid obstacles, mostly just spikes and pits and things like that. Most of the screens you can fall down, so you just go back to a lower level, but there are a few transitionary parts where you actually die if you fall in the pit. as they call it. But yeah, after the long climb, you'll be at the top. There's another big eye waiting for you, but luckily you have the rolling cutter available for you. And like EBC said, it's the most useful weapon in the entire game. Like, the entire game you will be using this, basically.
Yes.
You can easily kill him and the Susies and all the other guys in this stage just with one hit, basically. For the big eye, it takes some timing, because he's only vulnerable when he jumps, of course. But yeah, he's at least defeatable there. And after one more medal tries to stop you, you just jump down into Elecman.
Yep. And Elecman is real easy, since you have Elecman's weakness, Rolling Cutter. Elecman does 4 to 10 damage, and the reason it's 4 to 10 is if you initially get hit by the electric beam, it's 4 damage. But if you stay in the electric beam, it will rack up very quickly. Remember, you have 19 hit points. So the Rolling Cutter does 8 damage of hit points to Elecman with one hit. So basically, you kind of get a little close to Elecman, throw your Rolling Cutter, 2 or 3 Rolling Cutters, depending on how far away you are. If you miss one, Elecman's dead in a blink of an eye, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the good thing with Rolling Cutter is that normally it would indeed take 3 hits to defeat Elecman, because he has that much health, of course. But the way Rolling Cutter works is that if you can shoot it through an enemy, it rolls back to you, so you can do a double hit. So basically, you only have to shoot twice, and then Elecman will be dead. Like, it's the easiest fight in the game when you have the weakness. Otherwise, it's a mess, because
it's kind of a disaster.
Yeah,
to do Buster
like,
only.
I haven't been able to do it casually, and I've not tried it with save states or anything, but dodging the leg beam, that is some shit. Yeah, keep that in, legs. That is some shit.
But ding!
Yeah. It basically envelops half of the screen, so you really... It comes in an arc, like in a sinus wave, is that what they call it? Or a cosinus wave? In one of those waves. So you have to jump very, very, very precisely to actually avoid that thing, so...
Yeah. Yeah, I've done a Elecman Buster once, and I would prefer to not do Buster only Elecman again.
Yeah.
He's not the only Robot Master I would choose not to do Buster only again either, but he is the first one. But yeah, once you defeat Elecman, we move on to Iceman Stage. Personally, this is my favorite stage of the game. So he's a top right option, has all these Robot Masters have 19 hit points, not 20, but 19.
Yeah, just like
Iceman can do 5 to 10 damage to you pretty quick if you're not careful enough. But once you like I said, once you defeat Elecman and you obtain Thunder Beam, you can move on to Iceman, because Thunder Beam is Iceman's weakness. And already reading the name Iceman, you should already know that this is going to include ice. Not just any old ice, too. Very slippery ice that you can stop on a dime on, which is kind of interesting in itself. So upon spawning into the stage, immediately you have a... What's the helicopter name? Is it Squirm?
No, that's the Bumby Harry.
Bunby Harry.
Yeah.
Okay, I call it the helicopter on Xanax in the notes.
Yeah, another trope when it comes to Mega Man games, they do show the enemy names during the credits, but only like half of them get translated properly or at all. So yeah, Harry is probably Heli for helicopter. Bumby, I have no idea where that comes from, but it's like a lot of English names, so they're really fun sometimes to see.
So you have a Bunby Harry. Literally, as soon as you blink into the stage, you have one on the right side of the screen coming at you. And the issue is, these enemies die in one hit. They're not much of a nuisance, but if you miss them and get too close, they start to dive bomb you, and they do not leave you alone until you are just dead. or you can miraculously get out of their dive bomb like circle, basically. They're not an issue until they become an issue.
Indeed,
basically. The stage here is just basically understanding how to stop Mega Man on ice. And here's the trick. Jump. So as you're sliding across the ice in this game, just jump. If you jump straight up, Mega Man will stop sliding on the ice. That's really that's the basic understanding of how to get through most of the stage, because most of the stage is going to be on ice. The big catch to this stage is the dropping icicles. So, also this stage introduces a lot of spike pits, because there's a lot of one block jumping in here. And the problem with Dr. Wily's Revenge, much like other older Mega Man games, is if you're in mid-jump and you collect a refill, whether it's health or an energy refill, Mega Man loses his momentum. And Mega Man will fall straight down, and if you're over a pit, you fall straight down into that pit and you will die. As you're jumping from these block-to-block platforms, you are killing the Bunby Harrys as you're jumping, and Bunby Harrys have a chance to drop stuff. So, casually, it's not too bad. You can just kind of hang back, jump up, shoot, jump forward, jump up, shoot, jump forward type deal. It's not a terrible thing, but as a speedrunner, it's an anxiety-inducing stage. And like I said, as you progress through the stage, you come across the ice platforms where you can just jump to stop Mega Man. But then you were like, well, I can't reach this ladder, and I don't have Rush Coil. What am I supposed to do? Well, at the top of the stage, icicles are going to be dropping down. These icicles do, I think, 1 or 2 damage to you. And you jump on top of the icicles, and you can jump to the higher platforms or to the ladder. There are pixel places where you can stand and the icicles won't hurt you, and you can just jump up on top of them, but that's speedrunner stuff, and we don't care about that. So the icicles drop down. You use those as your booster blocks to get to the ladder. And most of the ladders are over spike blocks, so if you misjudge your jump or you're not pressing up when you get to the ladder, you're going to die. Really, that's about... And then the end of the stage. End of the stage is brutal. It's a lot of tight jumps over pits with a ton of enemies across. So you have a Bunby Harry right off the get-go that wants to dive bomb you, while a Sniper Joe is shooting at you. So you want to take out the Bunby Harry, then take out the Sniper Joe. Then as you jump through this, you have a couple of other Bunby Harrys coming. Then you have the Squirms, which are the little wormy boys that come from the ground. You can roller whatever it's called. Roll everything in its path. You just have to take your time to get through it. Once you get to the end, then you can drop down and fight Iceman. Turn on your Thunder Beam from Electman. You'll want to jump and dodge that first ice attack that Iceman shoots at you, and then about 3 or 4 beams will take down Iceman.
Yeah.
And there's no like mashing select in this game like there is in Mega Man 1
No.
NES. Like, there's no, like, hitting select at certain times to deal a bunch of damage. It's just you have to shoot the beam to make it work. So,
yeah. But all in all, this is a fair stage.
It is.
Except for, in my opinion, the second spike room, which I still don't know how to do without taking damage. Like, I've been doing that since I was a little kid, and I'm still doing it, because it's also the speedrun route you take there, but I have no idea how to actually do that part without taking damage, but maybe that's just...
Yeah, I don't know either.
No. But yeah, the ice physics are weird, having to keep in mind that you drop down when you pick up a refill is... yeah. It's stressful, but yeah.
Yeah, we're not done with ice blocks in this game yet. The ice blocks there are special ice blocks that appear in Iceman Stage that you won't have to deal with all that much, but they reappear in the Wily Fortress that we'll go over when we get to that level.
Yeah. But yeah, now we come to our final of the first 4 Robot Masters, which is Fireman.
The longest stage.
The longest stage, and also probably the hardest stage to do. The hardest stage that is to do. without any power-ups, because it has some nifty things hidden in it that you actually need a power-up for to do it properly.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's also why Cutman First is better than Fireman First. The Fireman fight with Buster only is one of the easiest things to do for sure, but it's just a stage that is impossible, basically. I mean, it is
hard,
possible,
yeah.
but yeah. But yeah, so Fireman starts with a very normal type of corridor, I would say, which has 5 Susies in it for some reason.
Yeah.
And you start dropping down, you see a little bit more Susies in your way, nothing really special. But then you come to the first part, which is a platforming part, which basically consists of you jumping over tiny pillars, trying to avoid falling into the quote-unquote lava pits down below. Of course, they put some extra things in your way to make sure that you do fall in, as there will be more Bumby Harrys trying to get in your way, but also these flamethrower beams that try to stop you, as well as another Sniper Joe, because that guy is literally everywhere. But yeah, it's pretty standard. It's just avoiding the hazards and getting through that part. And then you have to jump through a little fall of Chankies. Those are those fireball things that you see floating around in the stage. You have to jump through that, and then you come to the Chanky Maker Hall number 1. And here's a part that preferably you have an actual weapon you can use. So there are 2 ways to deal with them. You can either use the Elect Beam or the Rolling Cutter, like we have been using throughout the rest of the game, basically, to take these guys out quickly. But these are those big robots that actually throw those Chankies at you. So that's where they come from.
They do a lot of damage if they touch you as well.
If they touch you, indeed. It's basically a big guy, but stationary, and he throws fireballs at you. But yeah, you can deal with them with the Elect Beam or with the Rolling Cutter easily, if you know how to avoid their throwing, because depending on your position, they will either throw very far or very close to them, so you might get hit. But yeah, it's basically a hallway full of these guys, and at the end, of course, he's there again. It's Sniper Joe, because he's always there. So yeah, once you get through that, you go up a little bit, you come across yet again another Sniper Joe. That guy flips all over the place, unbelievable. He is actually the final boss of this game. No, he's not, but he's there a lot.
Might as well be.
Might as well be, yeah. But yeah, once you pass that guy, you come to another long hallway filled with more screwdrivers, more of those flamethrower wall thingies, Chankies flying all over the place, Bumby Harry's trying to push you back into the lava. But yeah, as you can hear, there's a lot going on here, and having a power-up just really, really helps here. Especially when it comes to those fire throwers. If you have a little trouble getting through those, you can always use the Ice Beam to freeze them, basically. And then you can stand on top of them and things like that, and they won't hurt you. That Ice Beam will also come in handy in the next 2 screens, I believe, where the floor basically is a gas furnace with a moving flame. If you know how it works, you can just jump over it. It's definitely doable, but if you just want an easy time, you can just use an ice beam again and freeze it so you can pass through it easily. You drop down a few screens, and then we come to the Chanky Maker hallway number 2. So it's just another hallway, a little bit less maneuverable, because it's like it has a roof this time around, but it's just filled with Chanky Maker. So again, using the electric attack or the Rolling Cutter will get you through it, and then you will drop down into Fireman himself.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, Fireman Not that much of an issue, to be honest. If you've played the NES version where he goes absolutely bonkers on you and starts shooting flame balls all over the place, it's pretty much the same fight, but he is toned down a lot. Like, he doesn't shoot as much as he did in that game. So just using the Ice Slasher, it takes about 5 to 6 attacks to take him down. And if you know a little bit about how his pattern works, you can basically let him come towards you, step back, and go forward again, and that kind of makes his circuits go crazy, I think. So he will just keep going backwards and forwards and never shoots, and you can take advantage of that to never basically get hit in this fight. But yeah, it's pretty doable for sure. Even with just a buster, it would be easily doable.
Yeah. The issue with starting with Fireman first isn't Fireman himself, it's just the stage.
Yeah.
The stage is hard and it's long.
Absolutely. Yeah, and if you look at the fun thing about Mega Man, Dr. Wily's Revenge, is that the beta version is also out there. You can easily find it on the internet. The stage is a lot different than it was originally. I think it was a lot easier, actually, originally. But yeah, I would check that out if you can find a ROM for it. It only has the first 4 stages, I believe. But it's like a little different, and it's nice to see how it changed over the years. Or months, I guess, for this game.
I preferred Fireman beta stage than the prod stage, for sure. But once you defeat Fireman, you get the great cutscene that's in every Mega Man game after you defeat the first set of Robot Masters. You get Dr. Wily flashing his eyebrows at you.
Yeah.
And then he's going to fly to the Wily Castle. You have pipe here. I don't know what you mean by mention the pipe.
Yeah, I put that there. This is just a little trivia for basically all Mega Man games, but they missed a few. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when you look at the sprite work for any of the Wily castles in any Mega Man game, so 1 through 10 or 1 through 5 on Game Boy, or, well, maybe not 2 in this case, because do you see the castle in 2?
I don't know, the game doesn't exist.
Yeah, I can't remember, but there's a few where they, I think, just forgot it. But ever since the very first Mega Man, if you look at the credits for that one, when you see the house where Mega Man goes to in the end of the credits, you see a little exhaust pipe there. Like an L-shaped exhaust pipe where smoke comes out. For some reason, and nobody ever notices this, every Wily castle or ship or whatever that came afterward has that pipe on it. And it's just a nod to the very first game. And it's really hard to see on this one because it's on a Game Boy screen, but it is absolutely there. So the next time you see a Wily castle in any Mega Man game, pause it, or, well, you can't usually, but if you're playing on emulator or something, or take a picture or a screenshot or something like that, and just look at the picture, and you will always find that exhaust pipe on there. And I think that's really cool that they keep on doing that.
Let me just pause this NES cutscene
real
quick.
But yeah, if you can look up a picture on, like if you do like Wily's Revenge Castle, you will get a picture, and I'm pulling it up right here. So let me see where it is. So here it is. So looking. Now I can't find it. I'm sure it's there.
See?
Yeah. So at the right side, you have the 2 claws holding the silos with guns on top of them. If you look at the right one, above the highest finger, you see the little exhaust pipe.
Huh. That's how robots are made right there. So
Yeah, and if you look up any other castle or ship or something that Wily has built, you will always find that in there, and I think that's a really cool thing that they did.
yeah, I've probably have noticed the pipe, but I've never like actually noticed the pipe.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you know,
Yeah,
it's a pipe there, whatever.
Yeah, it's very out there in like the NES games because it's easy to see, but in this one it's actually kind of hidden if you're not looking, and I really always liked it. And that's a little trivia about Mega Man games that almost nobody knows.
But the start of Wily Castle is... The start of Wily's Castle is like the only stage that you have a break at the start in, that you don't have to like worry about getting attacked or like falling into a pit or anything right away. In true Mega Man fashion, for some reason, when you land in, it gives you power-ups and stuff around you that you can use your newly acquired skill called Carry. That you don't know that you get, mind you.
What?
The game doesn't tell you get
Yes,
Carry.
it does.
When?
It shows it right after you got the fire or whatever it's called.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, of course.
I guess I've never paid attention. I've always just looked away because cutscenes. I never realized they told you got Carry.
Yeah, they say fire.
You...
What is it called? Firestorm and Carry. And
Firestorm,
Carry,
yeah.
it says.
Oh, I don't read that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, you get Carry now. It's kind of like your... Was it like item 3 in Mega Man 2? Item 1?
Yes and no. Like...
That's what it kind of.
Kinda,
It's not like item 2, because item 2 is a rocket.
2 is a rocket, 1 is the floating platform, and 3 is the wall climbing platform.
Wall climber, yeah.
But yeah, it basically creates a platform for you that's stationary for like a second or 2, I believe.
Yeah, you can use Carry to jump up and get the power-ups. I think it's like a 1-up and some other stuff.
And refill,
Yeah. But you're going to jump down, and, well, we're going to move through a room of Susies, because Susies are just a thing you fight now in Mega Man. And then...
and some Sniper Joes, of course.
I was going to say, we're going to come across our good friend Sniper Joe. Sniper Joe is going to have his back to the fans, but the fans are not going to push Sniper Joe. The fans are going to push Mega Man. So, again, just get jump up, kill Sniper Joe. And then this is where Carry becomes, I think, the first time you would use it, because I don't think you can jump high enough over the fans by default.
No, you can. You can still use...
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Okay. I've always just used Carry to avoid the Sniper Joe, so... so you can just jump over the fence, and as you go down, we get introduced to the moles. I actually got the name right, mole.
They are called mole, yeah.
Hell yeah! Look at that. So we have a new enemy now, the moles. So these are our 4 drill enemies, essentially, that come from the ceiling and the floor. They're kind of a pain to get through. I don't fully understand how they spawn in, but they kind of spawn in front of Mega Man, but not exactly in front of Mega Man.
It's a mess. Yeah, we'll get to that later, but it's a mess.
It's kind of weird, but they're really easy to kill, especially with Rolling Cutter. And the cool thing about the moles is that you can kind of farm them from stuff. You'll want. I do this later on in the stage, when I get towards the end of the screen with the moles. I'll sit there and I'll farm them for like health and 1-ups and stuff and move on. That's what I typically do with them. But yeah, I don't know. This stage is good. I don't know. It's really all I have about this stage. Like, otherwise, we have the long fall into the quote unquote refight screen.
Yeah. It's a pretty standard stage, and for a Wily Castle stage, or a Wily stage in general, it's pretty tame compared to some other ones. It does do something that literally every Wily stage does, It's the falling down long long paths and not knowing where the spikes are gonna be below you. So it does that. It's just a trope at this point. It's not like bad programming, it's just how these games are made. But be aware of that because there are a few rooms like that for sure. But yeah, it basically this stage kind of teaches you about the carry item. There's only 2 instances where you really have to use it, but it prepares you for the upcoming stage basically. Yeah, it's a pretty standard one. The really good thing about this stage is the song that we played before starting this part, which is the Anchor's theme. We're still not gonna say anything more about Anchor for now, but it is, in my opinion, one of the best, and for a lot of other people, well, one of the best Mega Man songs ever written. Oh.
I'll be the judge of this. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah. But yeah, this stage just basically uses the enemies that we've encountered before, but they are the 2 new ones. First one being the Moelle, and the second one being the PP, which is that annoying bird that drops eggs, where little PPs come out of. And yes, I said little PP on the podcast, so take that as you will.
The song gets good after like the first 12 seconds in.
It's a really, really good song. Yeah, definitely look up the new version as well that they used for Mega Man 10, I think. It's just a very iconic tune, and it's very nice that they acknowledge how good this song is by putting it in the main series as well. As DLC, okay, but still. Still really good.
See, my favorite song in this game is Wily Fortress 2.
Yeah, so. Also very good, yeah.
But yeah, so once you do all the falling and whatnot, you got dodge the spikes left, right, whatever. It's one of those like falling if you're not paying attention or you have slow reflexes, you're gonna just explode on a spike. Mm-hmm. And then you fall down a big dark tube, and then you end up in a black room that is the quote-unquote refight room if you are familiar with the NES Mega Mans. But this isn't a refight room.
No, they did something else.
Yeah, so in Mega Man Game Boy, they don't put after Mega Man 1, all 8 Robot Masters in the same game. So in Mega Man 1 Game Boy, DWR, Rockman World 1, whatever you want to call it, the first 4 Robot Masters are from Mega Man 1 NES, but the next 4 Robot Masters are actually from Mega Man 2 NES. So we'll start from the top left corner, which is Quickman. 19 hit points, that does 4 damage per attack. The interesting thing with these is that there's no mini stage to play through these. Yeah. As soon as you go into a teleporter, you're immediately fighting the Robot Master, which I think is in Mega Man 2 Game Boy, maybe Mega Man 3 Game Boy is when you go into a teleporter, you play a little chunk of that stage.
That would be the second one already. Basically the same quote-unquote issue with why there were only 6 Robot Masters in Mega Man 1 NES. Why are there only 4 stages in this one? It was their first attempt. They did not really know what they were doing, and they ran out of room, so they just had to come up with a solution for it. And I think this was pretty cool. It was a nice choice to do something like this.
Yeah, it's definitely something I didn't expect my first time playing through it. I was expecting an actual refight because Mega Man. But this was actually really cool to face off against other Robot Masters from another Mega Man game, utilizing a weakness not from that Mega Man game. Right, so we're going to fight Quickman with Firestorm. So we're going to use Fireman's weapon against Quickman. So it's kind of interesting using a Mega Man 1 weapon as a weakness for a Mega Man 2 Robot Master. This fight isn't terribly difficult. When you shoot Firestorm, it shoots a fireball out, and then it puts a rotating shield around Mega Man for a short amount of time. The fireball does obviously damage, and the shield around Mega Man does damage to things that come close to Mega Man. However, they have to be very close to Mega Man to utilize the shield in a way to do damage. The problem with Quick Man is he's quick. He runs and jumps all over the place, throwing 3 boomerangs out at any given time. There's kind of just a lot happening around Mega Man that you need to focus on. But if you are bold enough and you're good at kind of dodging the boomerangs and getting underneath the Robot Masters when they jump, you can utilize this shield to knock down Quick Man even faster than just shooting him from afar. And then after you kill Quick Man and the other 3 Robot Masters we're going to fight, they always drop a big health refill to replenish your health. And once you kill Quick Man, you have to run to the left side of the screen onto the teleporter, and it'll shoot you out back into the refight screen, is what I'm going to keep calling it. So
yeah, absolutely. Just one thing to keep in mind though, why do I keep forgetting the names? The Firestorm is not actually Quickman's weakness at all. It does as much damage as your Buster would do, but it's just
1 damage.
Yeah, it just does 1 damage, but it's just very useful to use against him. Because his actual weakness is the Time Stopper, just like in Mega Man 2 on NES. But preferably you go after Quick Man first. Yeah, this ties into the speedrunning section again for later, but it's like if you have most of your health, it's best to go after Quick Man as your first robot, because his weakness, the Flash Stopper, I believe it's called.
Time Stopper.
Time Stopper, yeah. If it runs out, it runs out before he's dead. So, yeah. You just save yourself some time and some free hits, basically. But the Firestorm is just a way better weapon to deal with Quick Man.
Yeah, so when you're fighting Quick Man, there's only 4 weapons that will impact him. Your Mega Buster, which only does 1 damage. Ice Slasher, which does 1 damage. Firestorm does 1 damage. But Time Stopper does 9 damage to him. But like what Mo said, Time Stopper runs out before he can die. And if you don't have a lot of health going into there, the fight is... It's hectic. It's not like Fireman where you can just kind of hang back and jump and shoot. It's a little bit hectic because he's kind of all over the place. So that's why we kind of just use Firestorm, because if he does get close to you, that shield will still do damage to him, even if it is just 1 damage. So after you take down Quick Man, we can just hop down the bottom left corner and take on Flashman.
Yeah. Flashman is
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's alright. I mean, he has a set pattern that you can abuse if you know it. But basically, you just want to use the Ice Slasher because that would be the easiest to hit him with. But of course, Flashman uses his Time Stopper against you, which can cause some havoc if you're not paying attention and if you're low on health, for sure. But the best way to avoid that, and I think this was also in Mega Man 2, if you get hit by him just before he uses his Time Stopper, your iframes will save you from the stopping thing, so you can keep on hitting him. But he's really easy. He just runs towards you, and I think when you shoot, he jumps. So if he runs towards you, and you can just jump over him, basically, as long as you're not shooting yourself. But yeah, besides that, it's not a hard fight at all. And you can still use one of your weapons that you got from earlier. I don't know, does he actually have a weakness?
Yeah, Ice Slasher.
That is his weakness. Okay,
Ice Slasher,
that is his
Ice Slasher does 2 damage to Quick Man, or Flashman. 2 damage to Flashman. The Buster, the Rolling Cutter, and Firestorm only does 1 damage.
Yeah.
So it's 1 extra damage, but it's technically a weakness.
Yeah. So that is the one weakness they actually used for this tie-in in Mega Man 2. But yeah, and if all else fails, you can still call the cops on him for indecent exposure.
It's true.
Yeah. So yeah, Flashman is gone. His power-up is useless, like I said before, except if you want to really stop Quickman for a few seconds. But afterwards we will be going to Bubble Man, and we have his weakness, because we've already beaten Quickman. So we're using the Quick Boomerang against him. Not that much of a fight, really. It's hard to avoid taking damage from him, but his normal shots do almost no damage to you anyways. So
2 damage.
Yeah, so you can just basically spam the Quick Boomerang and take him out pretty quickly. It does have a lot of lag because it's Quickman and it's Bubble Man. It's underwater, so it makes sense it has lag. But yeah, it's super easy fight, to be honest.
Yeah, something we didn't go over in this game is that the Robot Masters do have iframes themselves. Yeah. So you could mash into them, but like every hit won't count if you mash into them. So you have to have like a rhythmic mash when going into these. It's like a timed mash going into these fights. Bubble Man and Heat Man, in my opinion, are the 2 most slow, tedious fights in the game. They're easy, but they're slow. Quick Boomerang only does 2 damage to Bubble Man. Bubble Man is easy. He just shoots a little arrow out, and he'll shoot a bubble or 2 out as he's like floating away from you or floating over you. And like what Mo said, like if he hits you, it's not the end of the world. The guy does 2 damage to you. Like it's whatever. But it's one of those, like, you can't just mash Quick Boomerang because you could possibly run out of Quick Boomerang and not kill Bubble Man because he just ate all your boomerangs and took no damage. So it is one of those, like, you have to do some of the boomerangs to, you know, in a rhythmic fashion to do damage to him. And with him be jumping up kind of high and all over the place, sometimes the boomerang's kind of hard to hit as well too. But yeah, once you defeat Bubble Man, you move on to Heat Man. Heat Man is my least favorite Robot Master to fight in any of the Mega Man games. Any of them. I hate him in every Mega Man game. His weakness is Bubble Lead, which you get from Bubble Man. The problem with Heat Man is when you hit him, he puts up a shield around him that you can't hit him again. You have to wait for him to teleport to Mega Man's current position, and then he passed the shield down, and you can hit him again. And you have to do this, you know, however many times it takes. It's just a long, tedious fight for no reason. And as you're fighting him, he's throwing basically like these napalm shots at you, where he throws 3 fires at you that go up into a fire pillar that you need to stand in between, or, you know, kind of run forward over or under the arc that he throws them. When you hit him, he puts up a fire fortress around him or a shield where he can't be hurt. Then he transforms into a fire beam and teleports to Mega Man's current position, so you kind of have to be on the move a little bit, but at the same time you have to be ready for when he pops out so you can hit him again. It's a tedious fight, and it takes forever because of the barrier that he puts around him.
Yeah, luckily for the Game Boy version, and this is something you wouldn't know when playing casually, but if you're picking up this game after listening to this podcast, here's some speedrunning tricks for you. There's something probably programmed badly when it comes to Heatman, which, like, if you hit him with anything, he goes into his teleportation, quote-unquote, move. But the thing is, he loses his iframes for just a second before he goes into that complete invulnerability state. So if you're standing next to him, you can basically spam the bubble, and 75% of the time you will hit him twice when he's doing that, which makes this fight like half as long. I think you only have to do two jumps over him and he would be dead. So that's a really cool thing you can use to make this fight go a lot faster, and it's super easy to do as well. Like it's super easy to learn. But that's definitely something you can keep in mind if you wanted to go by a little faster at least. And it's called the double bubble. Easy as that. Very simple name for a trick.
Good old double bubble.
Yeah, always hoping for those double bubbles.
What a good gum. Flavor lasts about 10 seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, those are all the 8 robot masters of this game. So I guess it's time for Wily, right? I mean, what else is there? There can't be anything else. It's Wily fight.
Oh, we got refights now. We didn't have refights.
Yeah, we have to fight all of these 8 bosses yet again. No, luckily Mega Man 1 on Game Boy does not do that. But we do have a new teleporter. And who could be in there? I have no idea.
Well, no one. It leads you to the Wily Space Fortress.
Yeah. No, we're not going there yet. We still have one new robot to defeat. And it's also the very first Mega Man killer of the franchise. So for the Game Boy games, there are actually new bosses. And this is one of them. So this is Anchor. Welcome, Anchor. You may recognize him from Mega Man 10, again. Like I said, he's in there as well. Or you might also recognize him from Mega Man Soccer. And everybody who had Mega Man Soccer on SNES and has never played Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge would have been like, who is Anchor? I have never seen this guy before. So yeah, but he's the original quote-unquote robot master from this game. So yeah, this is a new fight. It's a very weird fight if you don't know what you're doing, but Anchor basically has a sword, and he's coming after you with his sword. He does not take damage at all. Anchor cannot be hurt. You can only hurt him by actually shooting his sword, so you're basically breaking his sword in this case. But yeah, Anchor has a few patterns that he can do. All he does is go from the left to the right, but he can just run. He can do 1 hop, or he can do 2 hops, so kind of depends on which mood he is in, because it's totally random. Like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. You just have to get lucky here and there. But yeah, the more you shoot his sword, the more he takes damage, but there's a little setback there as well. The more you can actually hit him on his sword, the stronger his attack towards you will be. So before he starts moving to the other side of the pattern, he will shoot a beam out of his sword, and that goes from very small to very big. So I think it's 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shots. I think that's like the stacking thing on it. So yeah, that's the only way you can damage him, unless you can kind of hit him in the back while he's coming towards you. Sometimes he is vulnerable during that period. But yeah, you can usually only shoot him when he's holding his sword up.
Yeah. Another fun fact about Anchor is he can only take damage by your buster. So don't even bother putting on a power.
Yeah, only the buster can be used during this fight. Some people might wonder, Anchor, where does that name come from? Well, let me educate you on that. So when it comes to the Mega Man games, everything is kind of, besides the Robot Master, everything is kind of based on music. So Rockman is of course just rock. You have his quote-unquote robot sister Roll. You have his Doc Rush, which is a band, of course. And Anchor actually comes from the Japanese music genre Enka. So E-N-K-A, which is kind of Japanese punk, basically. Something like that, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it's basically based on that. And then, of course, you have Proto Man, whose actually name is Blues. That's also music. So they try to keep in with an entire team of music. So that's where his name comes from.
It's just like the X series. We'll never cover the Mega Man X series because, well, this is a Game Boy podcast. But like you have Axel. You have Guns N' Roses in the X series for PlayStation.
Well,
Like,
that was only for the localization of Mega Man X5 though. Like they're not named like
Oh,
that.
was it?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a tie-in to an album or some. Well, no, because Guns N' Roses were split up.
Guns N'
Back then.
Roses
It was just a joke towards that, and they since then in other iterations of Mega Man X5, like on the collection, they actually changed it back to the original names.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Yeah, no one likes Guns N' Roses. I know this. That's fine.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's the final quote-unquote robot master or Mega Man killer we will defeat in this game, and now we're done with Wily's castle. But Wily has another trick up his sleeve. He goes into space.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He's gotta wiggle those eyebrows again.
Yeah. So yeah, he's going into his Wily's space fortress, and this is the very first Mega Man game ever that had a space fortress. And besides Mega Man 3 on Game Boy, which actually has the first underwater Wily base in all Mega Man games, all the Game Boy Mega Man games eventually end up in space.
Yes. But it is time for the best song, in my opinion, in the game, which is Wily Fortress 2. Literally everything that you learned in the first 4 stages of the game is now going to come at you in full swing. You're going to make your way right, and you're going to be introduced to the final boss of the game, Sniper Joe. But this Sniper Joe is different. He's learned a new skill, and that is to jump up steps. So, as you approach the Sniper Joe, he's going to back away from you and jump up the steps. So he's a little bit more difficult to kill just because he moves now instead of just stands there with a shield.
Yeah, but the dumb thing that he didn't think of is when he jumps, his shield doesn't work, so you can just shoot him while he's jumping. So, little setback there, Sniper Joe, but, I mean...
It's a new skill.
He's trying things out, it didn't work that well for him, but...
It's a newly acquired skill. There's still some kinks to work out. But as you push right, there's a bunch of little squirms and stuff on like one block. Platforms above you can kind of just run through them or take rolling cutter and kill them. Doesn't matter. But you're gonna come across kind of your first barrier, and it's an ice wall. It's a wall of white blocks.
Yeah.
And what you're going to do is that you're going to use your carry, a power-up, and jump on top of this wall, and you're going to run against the wall. You might be able to stand still. I've always just held
You
white,
can stand on them, yeah.
And, okay. And then over time, the block is going to melt, and it melts at half a block at a time. So once you've taken out the first 2.5 blocks, you can move on and keep holding right. So those white blocks aren't the first time they were introduced in the game. Those white blocks were actually in Iceman Stage. They were actually one-block platforms as you jumped over the spikes. The thing is that you typically kind of move through that section so fast, you never really notice the blocks are melting underneath Mega Man because you're not standing on them long enough to melt. But in this case here, they actually used them as an obstacle that you have to stand on in order to progress through the stage. So I found that actually really interesting of a maneuver. And then if you didn't have enough Yoku blocks before, boy, howdy, are you in for some Yoku block paradise. This stage offers 2 long Yoku block sections. The first one being about 2/3 the length of the second one. But the thing with the Yoku blocks, and just like in every other Mega Man game, is you kind of have to understand the pattern and be ready to react. So if you jump on one Yoku block, there's a chance that the Yoku block will spawn above Mega Man, trapping Mega Man so you can't jump onto the Yoku block, and you just fall into the pit of spikes and die and have to redo the whole section over again. So there's a little bit of trial and error when it comes to the Yoku block section of the game. that is just Mega Man in a nutshell. But they are long sections. It is a lot of Yoku block jumping. So if you like Yoku blocks and you enjoy the anxiety of hanging over a pit, Wily Space Fortress stage is the stage for you. As we progress through this stage as well, we have more moles in the stage. Again, this is typically where I kind of just farm 1-ups and health if I need it. And then you kind of make your final descent through the stage. And you do a long dark drop. But the cool thing is as you drop down, if you hold right, you can get a free 1-up. And then you fall down into, the Wily machine. So, Wily Machine 1 is pretty simple in my opinion. It's probably the most dangerous of the two phases because of the Wheel of Dooms. I forgot what they were called.
Wheel cutter, I believe.
Cutting wheels. Yeah, so the Wily machine, the front of it looks like a gas tank in the front type deal. This is the only part that's vulnerable to the boss right now. I typically take Rolling Cutter to this section because you can, like we mentioned earlier, you can double hit with Rolling Cutter if you're close enough. The problem with this fight is that little gas tank kind of opens up and it shoots cutting wheels out, and the cutting wheels have different patterns. They have a long throw, a medium throw, and a short throw. And with you being so close to this, you're going to get hit by basically all three if you are standing close to this gas tank. Otherwise, if you are hanging back, you have a pretty good chance of dodging all these cutting wheels coming at you. But once you blow up the gas tank, it leads you into phase 2, which is the Wily Machine 2, which is the big fight of them all. This is where Anchor's power comes into play. So Anchor gives you a mirror buster, or basically a mirror shield, so to speak. You want to equip Anchor's power, and what's going to happen is that in the second phase of the Wily Machine, Wiley has 2 attacks, basically. One attack is he has a gun that will go up and down at certain increments, and it'll shoot a bullet. Your goal with this fight is to use Anchor's power, Mirror Buster, to reflect that bullet back into Wiley. All while Wiley also has a little grabby arm, or a little chewy arm, that goes to Mega Man's current position. So you kind of want to be midway or kind of close to Wiley and reflect these bullets, and when the arm comes down, it gives you a chance to run backwards. It gives you a lot more maneuverable space to keep bouncing bullets back at Wiley. And when that arm retracts, you can kind of just rinse and repeat this entire process until the Wiley machine is completely blown up.
Yeah, that is pretty much the fight. It may look scary the first time you encounter it, but both phases are pretty tame when it comes to Wily fights in general. One thing to definitely keep in mind throughout the entire Space Fortress and also this fight is, and well, definitely during this fight as well, but the problem with this stage and the boss is that it requires you to have enough weapon energy.
Yes.
For the stage itself, you need carry. Otherwise you can't complete some sections of it. So you always definitely need to have enough energy to use that, or just know when only to use carry, or be able to farm somewhere for some pickups. But during this Wily fight, if you run out of Anchor's power, his shield, you're pretty much screwed, basically. If you have an extra life, you're just stuck there because there's no refills, and the only way to damage Wily Machine 2 is sadly by reflecting his bullets back at him. So, again, this is the first time they made a game like this, of course, so there are some things here and there that could have been better, and this is definitely one of them. But luckily, you only have to do one stage and not like an entire castle or something like that. But do keep in mind, if you would for some reason at the continue screen not pick continue, you will have to do, and I'm pretty sure you will have to do everything since Wily's fortress again. Yeah, so you have to do both stages again, and yes, fight all the robot masters again. So make sure that you press continue if you game over on this stage. It's another oversight that sadly comes with there not being stages for the robot masters. But yeah, definitely keep that in mind when going through this. But yeah, after defeating Wily, everything is good and dandy. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I think it's a really cool effect what they did when you're entering the boss fight. Like, it's completely dark and it's like the machine fades in. I thought that was pretty cool on Game Boy. Definitely for such an early game. So, yeah. Kudos to that for sure. But yeah, after you've beaten Wily, you are apparently stuck on the space station for whatever reason. Because while the credits are rolling, Mega Man just takes a little stroll throughout the hallway in the Space Fortress. When he sees the Earth in the background by looking through one of the windows, he stops and takes a look outside. And that is how the game ends.
Well, he doesn't have Rush yet, so how's he supposed to get back?
Teleport, like he went in there, I guess?
No.
Well, I actually stole Wily's... I don't know what actually happens. Does he teleport? I don't think so.
Maybe he just grabs a hold of the tailpipe.
Yeah, because in the cutscene you see Wily go into the Space Fortress, but you don't see Mega Man actually moving there, so I don't know. Maybe he hitched a ride or something.
He called the Space Uber. All right. Well, yeah, that's the end of Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge. So once you do that, you get the nice credit ending, as Mo said. You get to see all the sprite names and Robot Master names
and a very funny which one? Heatman is the best portrait.
Heatman.
It's portrait. Yeah, it's really they're kind of chibi, but that one is just very weird and funny. Iceman is the cutest though.
Yes, Iceman's always
he's super cute, but yeah, Heatman looks a little bit weird. I don't know why. I'm looking at the credits right now. I'm trying to make him appear. Here's Bubble. Here's he. Oh yeah, he's very cute as well. Actually, it's Fireman that looks weird. I don't know. One of them looks very weird. Let's just say it like that. No, Heatman is also very cute.
All right. So yeah, we're gonna take another short break here. We come back. We're gonna go over some of the cover art because the cover art for this game is actually pretty interesting. And then we have
some trivia, our thoughts
yeah.
about the game, and a small speedrunning section because we actually do know things about this speedrun. So
yeah, we actually both used to speedrun this game. So yeah, stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed Wily Fortress 2 song.
Yeah, we're playing all the original tracks throughout this episode. Yeah. So, like the stage music is just from the NES, like remakes of it. But all the songs we are playing throughout this episode are actually the original compositions for this game. So.
Yep, one of a kind until Mega Man 10. But cover art. So this game comes in 3 different covers, much like Mega Man does for NES as well. I've always hated the American cover for Mega Man.
Absolutely.
Except for the Game Boy ones. The Game Boy ones are they're better than the American NES ones. They're not the best. They're the worst of the 3 still, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't look as dumb as the NES ones.
Well, except for this one, kinda, because the North American version of Dr. Wily's Revenge actually is just a snippet from the Mega Man 3 NES game. If you look at that one, the North American one, it's literally just cut from that one, but with a few touch-ups here and there.
I'm looking it up right now.
But yeah, for some reason, the American box arts always make Mega Man look like he's not supposed to look like for some reason. They try to make him too much of a man instead of a robot, and he always has like weird things to him that don't fit the character at all.
Well, yeah, he is. He's just a slightly recolored version of the Mega Man 3 fighting Spark Man.
Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, the North American one's pretty standard. You just see Mega Man with the logo, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, the issue I have with this cover is not so much like Mega Man himself, it's the top half of the box art. The top half of the box art has this gradient of a burnt orange to yellow that goes into like a blue hex platform type deal. But the Mega Man, it's where it says Mega Man, is also in that same burnt orange to yellow gradient. And the only way to like really push it out is they put this black outline and this dumb black shadow behind it. You know, otherwise like it all blends in. Like even the Capcom logo at the top, because it's red, blends in with all of it. Like everything is just like this like orange to yellow gradient mash at the top. Then it comes into this like harsh blue, you know, of Mega Man and the platforms. That's my biggest gripe with this cover. I don't even care that they stole Mega Man from Mega Man 3 because I didn't realize that until you said something. But I prefer the look of this Mega Man than like what they did with like Mega Man 1 where they try to use like a real human with like an actual pistol in his hand to depict Mega Man. Like that's dumb.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then you have the European version. The European version is probably my favorite version of the cover art.
Yeah, I agree. Usually I tend to go with the Japanese ones, but the first one is not that great. Like the other ones are way better for the future games. But yeah, the European one is pretty cool. Mega Man is depicted as he should be, in my opinion. It has bright colors on it, but it's still pretty dark, nonetheless. But yeah, I really like this cover. It shows 2 of the Robot Masters, Elecman and Quickman. Kind of a spoiler, I guess, in that regard. And it also shows the Kamikuri Gori, whatever it's called, in the background. I don't know why they...
Zeus.
Yeah, I don't know why they put that one in there, but I mean, it's there, so whatever. But yeah, it has like a nice effect to it with speed, basically. Portraying speed.
It's a very late 80s, early 90s cover.
Yeah.
Like in terms of just like the way like falling is depicted in like those days was that they basically took the object and like made like outlines of it, you know, going up or down depending on which way, you know, the projectile is going. And just the colors in itself, like, just kind of scream because they are bright.
Yeah,
and they contrast. Like, it kind of just screams late 80s, early 90s. But I like how like it's Mega Man in a white suit, which it throws me off a little bit.
Yeah,
because I'm not used to seeing Mega Man in a white suit. But, Mega Man is falling, and he has Quick Man behind him with Elect Man kind of just to the side, not really paying much attention to him. And Zeus Cloudman back there, like, winding up, about to throw a lightning bolt at him. Mega Man's, like, looking over, peeking over his shoulder, checking things out. And, like, even, like, the Mega Man text at the top, like, even though it looks very clip-arty, like, you can read it, it's there. Even the Dr. Wily's Revenge, even though it's, like, basic Arial font or Helvetica font, it's there, it's readable, you know what you're getting into type deal.
Yeah. I'll get back to the whites later. I do have some tie into that, but not for this art. I guess they just went with that because it looked better overall. But I do have a nice little tidbit about that later on. But I mean, when I saw this, I immediately bought it. Just saying. I mean, that's literally how it went for me. So yeah, it's a very good cover art for a European version for sure. And yeah, then there's a Japanese one, and the Japanese one is anime style, or maybe even cartoon style. More, it's not that anime; it's more cartoon style. But like all the Mega Man games or the Rockman or Rockman World games, as they're called, they have this kind of drawing. I think all of these were made by Inafune himself, if I remember correctly, or just the art team that he did, like the depictions of the characters. Like, he designed them all on a base level, at least, so they use that. But yeah, you can see Mega Man somewhere in the mountains, I guess, or in the wilderness, with all the other robot... Well, not all of them, but a few of the robot masters surrounding them. You have Fireman, you have Bubble Man, you have Flash Man, Quick Man, and Cut Man trying to go after him. There's a huge dust cloud in the background and two of the Bunby helis trying to attack him. But yeah, it's basically a comic cover, I would say. Something like that. And I always loved the Rockman logo. And the Rockman World one builds upon that with World under it. But yeah, this is a fun one for sure. In this case, the European one, in my opinion as well, is better. But definitely look up just all the Rockman World covers. I would love to have a poster of all of them, like with no text. And I know it's out there. I just haven't bought it. But
yeah, it's not a bad box art cover at all. My only gripe with it is that there's just too much happening in the center of it. It's kind of unbalanced in my opinion. But it's just I do like it though. Like in Capcom up in the corner. Easily readable, and I have always liked the Rockman World logo, like 1 through 5. I've always liked them, so yeah, it's not a terrible box art by any means. And as we progress through the Mega Man franchise on Game Boy, like I prefer the Japanese box art over the other two regions. Just for this one, I prefer the European version over the other two.
Yeah. Again, I would recommend people. I don't know. Because I have the 25th anniversary, but I think we're already past 30 years anniversary for Mega Man now, so they might have a reprint with more in it. But if you can pick up like the complete works for Mega Man, you can buy them separately, Mega Man and Mega Man X, but I have like the combined one. I would definitely check that out because the art in that is so amazing, and you can see all of these cover arts in their full glory without like all the logos and things like that tied to them. So if you like art books like I do, that's definitely something cool to pick up. And if you like Mega Man, of course, because otherwise it's a dumb purchase if you hate Mega Man. But yeah, it has great art in it. So I love it. I use it for reference a lot of times, those things. So
Mega Man. So yeah, that's the box art.
Yeah.
Looks like you got some trivia stuff.
I have some trivia. Yeah, one thing I kind of mentioned before with the restarting in the Wily stages. Like another thing about this is if you have to restart a Wily castle, you will not keep the weapons you have acquired throughout the stage, so it resets back. And this is the only Mega Man game in existence that does that. But again, it's tied to the fact that it's just one stage and not like separate stages, so it's weird that they did it like that, but it also makes sense that they did.
Well, listen, there's an actual Met in that cover art too. So if you get the cover art without all of the text and junk, the Rockman World logo covers a Met underneath Fireman.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, you can see him a little bit there, but again, like if you look at the actual art, it's really cool. Without all the clutter going on it. What else do I have? Oh yeah, there was, I'm gonna say was, but there is a ROM hack for this game made by Tremaine. I don't remember the name of it exactly. It's like Tremancios or something. But there is a ROM hack, but I couldn't find the link. I will have to ask him if he still has it put up somewhere. But there's a ROM hack of this game, and I designed a few of the rooms for that while he was doing it. And it's really cool how this ROM hack got made, because there is a tool out there that is specifically made to hack Dr. Wily's Revenge. And it's kind of weird how it works, because you still have to use the exact amount of enemies throughout each stage, so the game still works. It was an interesting process to see, but I would definitely recommend people checking out that ROM hack, and if I find the link I will post it in the description for sure for you to get. But it's basically a remake of the rooms to make them more fair. So like the room with the big eye that we mentioned at the start of the game, something like that you will not find in there, but it is also a little bit more challenging in some rooms, more puzzle platformy like, but super fair, and this is a really fun ROM hack to play. It's not one of those like just make it super hard type of deals. And speaking of that, while I was looking for this one, a few days or a month ago, they actually released a new ROM hack of this game called Return of Wily. I haven't played through it yet, I just checked out the first stage, and so far, yes, they did change out the layouts and things like that, but I played the Cutman stage because that's where you start, and they literally just put Sniper Joes everywhere, so that that wasn't much fun, But yeah, he is the final boss, of course, so of course he's gonna be everywhere. But yeah, maybe the other levels are better.
There is another.
Yeah.
There is another one called Rochan World as
well.
Oh
yeah, I don't know that one. But yeah, there are a few ROM hacks of this that are, especially the one from Tremaine, I would recommend checking out. And maybe this other one as well. But if you like this game and you want more of it, there are options. And of course, like we said, the beta version is also in circulation that you can check out.
Yep. Yeah, Rochan World lets you play as
That's Roll, I guess.
Roll. Yeah, it's a slightly different-ish game. But you play as Roll instead of Mega.
I'll have to check that one out as well then.
Yeah, I think there's 5 of them. I think they made one for each game. So
yeah.
Yeah,
we could cover the general reception. Like, this game got high scores in magazines, but when it came to the actual players, they were a little bit lukewarm about it, and most of it comes from the fact that it's harder to maneuver because of the big sprites on a Game Boy screen, and there are some rooms that are just not well programmed and things like that. But overall, most people definitely enjoyed this game or gave it high praise back in the old days. And this game is a lot better regarded with players nowadays than it was when it just got released.
Yeah, it's a tough game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's a Mega Man game, but it's a tough entry into the Game Boy series for sure.
Definitely one of the harder Mega Man games. Like, not on Game Boy. There's something worse than this, but yeah, it's considered as one of the hardest Mega Man games for sure.
Yeah, but not the hardest in my opinion.
Definitely not.
Friggin' Mega Man 3. Game Boy.
Yeah, Game Boy, yeah.
So yeah, let's dive into some thoughts and history. We'll start with you because you have a lot more history with this game than I do.
Yeah.
And you have a lot more nostalgia for this game than I do as well.
For sure. So yeah, I've mentioned it 700 billion times before. Mega Man 3 NES is the first game I remember playing, the first game I remember beating, and is still my favorite game of all time to this day. So when I got a Game Boy, that came with Tetris and R-Type, when I went to the store for the very first time to look for a game that I can choose myself, that wasn't gifted to me from my parents, of course immediately Mega Man struck my eye. Mega Man 3 is the only Mega Man game I had played thus far. I had not played any of the other ones, because, well, I didn't have an NES. It was my cousin's NES, and they didn't have any other Mega Man games. So yeah, I just immediately picked this up because of course I would, because I loved Mega Man. Why wouldn't I? And then I could play it on my own the entire time. So yeah, I had no idea that this was a mashup between 1 and 2 at all, with original stages, of course. So all these robots were new to me, for starters. But yeah, the thing is, I was 6 years old, and even though I had beaten Mega Man 3 when I was 4 years old, which is an achievement on its own, to be honest, I could not beat this game. It was so brutal. I think I beat Iceman once, and that's it. I could just not get through this game at all. It took years for me to get through this game. I even beat Mega Man 2, that on Game Boy, and 4 before I even got through this one. So it's definitely a hard one, definitely for a kid. But yeah, just throughout the year, I always loved this game. It wasn't one of those games where it got so hard that I just put it aside and never touched it. No, I actually tried time and time again to beat it. It was just a little too hard for me back then. So I still love this game to this day. I think definitely one of the hardest games in the Mega Man franchise, as I mentioned before. But I also think this is one of the purest Mega Man games out there, without any shenanigans tied to it. Everything is just definitely skill-based. You have to learn it. You have to know what you're doing. The game is not unfair in any way. At least not for the Mega Man franchise. This is just how Mega Man works. And I revisit it constantly. I just absolutely love this game. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts and history with this game. And yeah, it's not even my favorite one on Game Boy, and I still absolutely love this game. So yeah,
I have an interesting history with Mega Man Game Boy. I didn't play any of the Mega Man Game Boys growing up at all. I wouldn't play my first Mega Man Game Boy until Mega Man 3 Game Boy in 2016. I knew they existed, but they never interested me. I like Mega Man, but I like NES Mega Mans. Like, those are my go-to Mega Man games. And so, like, if I was going to play a Mega Man, I was going to hook up the NES. I wasn't going to play it on a Game Boy emulator. So, in 2016, I started speedrunning in 2015. So, in 2016, I was speedrunning Mega Man 3 Game Boy, which is arguably the hardest Mega Man Game Boy game. And I enjoy it. Mega Man 3 Game Boy is my favorite Mega Man on Game Boy. And I was like, all right, well, I had some people come into my chat and was like, hey, you should check out the other Game Boy games. I was like, all right. And I was like, well, which one should I check out? They're like, well, Dr. Wily's Revenge. I was like, okay, we'll check out Dr. Wily's Revenge. Mind you, I'm used to charging and sliding at this point, and there's none of this in Dr. Wily's Revenge. So I played it in first stage, Cutman stage, and I'm just like, bruh, like Mega Man 3 Game Boy is hard.
Yeah.
But like what is this? Like the difficulty between the two games are very different difficulties. Mega Man 3 Game Boy is just unfair in a lot of portions, but Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge is just hard in general. Like the barrier to entry is hard. Once you get past that initial barrier, which is Cutman, the game isn't so bad. But Cutman, I've never came across such a hard barrier into a speedrun, even after playing Mega Man 3 Game Boy. So the game frustrated the living hell out of me. And I don't claim it as the best Game Boy Mega Man. I put it as number 3 out of the 5. Simply because like the sheer difficulty from the start to finish is just the curve is so high at the start, and it just kind of dwindles to the end, right? It starts super hard and it kind of gets easier along the way, simply because you have Cutman's weapon. Without Cutman's weapon, the game is brutally hard, and Cutman itself is that barrier of the game being brutally hard. So, I do, however, like the purity of this game. I like that there is no rush jet, or like no rush. I like that there is no sliding, and I like that there is no charging aspect to this game at all. I like that it is just a pure Mega Man platformer at its best. Like I super appreciate that with this Mega Man game, because I typically am one of those people that like I do know the weakness to most Robot Masters, but I still almost prefer to use Buster for a lot of the stuff, simply because like I don't get as crazy with Buster as I do with actually using the weakness. So I can appreciate the purity of Dr. Wily's Revenge. But if I were to refer, a person like, hey, I want to play a Mega Man Game Boy game, if they've never speedran before, if they've never played a Mega Man game before, I'm not going to recommend DWR as their first Mega Man Game Boy game. I'm probably going to be like, yeah, go play like Mega Man 4 on Game Boy. And then if you like it, then check out Dr. Wily's Revenge. But if you don't like it, you're not going to like Dr. Wily's Revenge, probably. I would never recommend Mega Man 2 Game Boy. That game does not exist, period. So, Mega Man 4, Mega Man 4 is number 4 on my favorite list, because there's just things about the game I don't like, but I do appreciate it, and I think it is a very good beginner entry into the Game Boy series. If you've never played a Mega Man or want to get into Mega Man Game Boy, I think it's a very good entry into the series. But that's my thoughts on the game. I've played all 5. I've speedran all 5. I've even done a 1 through 5 marathon.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So I've done it. I've done it both on American and Japanese versions of the game. But it's a tough game. I like it. It's a tough game though. It's you got to know what you're getting into to get to play through DWR. Mega Man 3 though, if and when we ever cover that game, like that's a whole nother monster that we can get into. But so speaking of speedrunning, we have a little small speedrunning section, which is kind of interesting for this game, because typically when we go into a speedrunning section, either we've never speedran the game, or only one of us has speedran the game. I think this might be one of the first games that we've covered where both of us have actually speedran this game.
Yeah, so the speedrun section we can actually dive into a little bit, because like at least my history with it is big. Yours a little smaller, but you have done it at least. But when I've mentioned this before, like I started as a Mega Man speedrunner on Twitch, and then I went into all the Game Boy stuff. But like the first 3 Game Boy games I ever did were Felix the Cat, Kirby's Dream Land, and then Mega Man, Dr. Wily's Revenge. And PLD at that time was also still doing Mega Man speedruns, so we picked this game up the both of us. So we started exploring this game, and it was fun. Like, it's a really cool game to speedrun for sure. But again, my dedication to speedrunning is never that big. But I did end up getting in 19 minutes 29 seconds back then, but PLD kept pushing it further, and he kept finding things, and then Tremaine came into the picture, who started tassing it and finding new tricks and things like that, and PLD and Tremaine pushed down the time to around 18:30, something like that, which is really fast for a Mega Man game in general. So yeah, that was really cool. But then it kind of died out for a bit. Like, Tremaine had a world record for quite some time. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, a bunch of NES Mega Man speedrunners jumped onto the game. And the two most notorious ones for this one, at least, are Prissy and Andy Swee, who currently has their world record. But they pushed it down to below 18 minutes, basically. Like, the world record currently is 17:51. And if I remember correctly, Andy Swee's best time he could have is like a 17:46 or something like that. So, but yeah, they pushed this game so far. They just changed a few minor things here and there, basically. That really helped push down that time a lot. But this is a very interesting one. But sadly, since 2017. The game has died again, as it always is with Game Boy games. So I would really like to see more runs of this, new runs of this, and I have even been thinking sometimes of picking it up myself again, just to push down my time a little lower here and there. The big problem for me is the mole sections. It's like very specific how you need to do those. And there's other parts as well, like the the Chanky rooms, corridors, and I never got the timing down right, so that's why my time is like 2 minutes slower than the other ones. But yeah, the speedrun of this game is pure skill and pattern remembering. There are no like glitches or things like that can be found in this game, which is why I also think this is one of the purest Mega Man games. It's just pure skill. So that's why I really loved it to see this game being speedrun as well, actually.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the leaderboard right now, and yeah, my time is from 2016.
Yeah, Manix just got an 1830.
Yeah.
Well, just. That's also a year ago, actually, but...
420.
Yeah. 420, 2020. Yeah.
Hell yeah. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these times are from 2016, 2017 era. You know, so
yep.
it's
yeah, and a lot of names that everybody knows from the Mega Man community, at least. Like, you got Mr. Cap, you got Starvin Strutters, you got Barnowl, Used Pizza,
Yoko,
Elonija, Nudua, Primal. Like, it's all those Mega Man speedrunners that actually tried this game out. It's really cool to see. But I wish they were a little bit more popular so they would keep on playing these. But yeah, sadly it died out again.
But yeah, the speedrunning side of things is like what Mo said. It's pure skill based. I like Mo has a lot more history with this speedrun than I do. I ran it. I'm not last. Let's just put it that way. I'm not last in the leaderboard, but I'm also not like in a running to be, you know, whatever. But I was running Mega Man 3 NES before I was running this. And when I was running Mega Man when I was running Mega Man 3 NES, like I was running with Fast CC, Colonel Fatso, Guitar Bass, you know, Mr. Cab, like people like Prissy, people like that. You know, but I was also running Mega Man 3 Game Boy simultaneously to Mega Man 3 NES. And I became decent friends with some of the Mega Man crew, some of the newer people in the Mega Man crew, and I kept pushing. I was like, hey, like, check out the Mega. I was actually pushing Mega Man 3 Game Boy, even though I shouldn't have been because it's crucially difficult. But it was interesting to see Indy and Prissy start diving into the Game Boy games, because I figured Indy would eventually, because Indy has done, you know, like DuckTales and whatnot on Game Boy. So I figured it was just a matter of time before Indy like dabbled into the Game Boy speedruns. I didn't actually think he would sit there and just grind those games and like reroute some of the sections and get world records in 3 of the 5 of the games. So like it was really awesome to watch Indy like push that. And the big surprise entry for me was Prissy. So like when I saw Prissy starting to get involved, I was like, oh, well, this is interesting, because Prissy and Indy are phenomenal Mega Man runners. And as soon as I saw Prissy start getting involved, I got really excited, because I'm like, well, that, you know, that's going to pull other Mega Man runners, because the Mega Man community is very competitive. Very competitive. So like I wanted to see more. Like I'm like, yeah, let's go see some more Mega Man runners come in. You know, and then we got to see, you know, people like Nadua, Yoka, you know, all these other people kind of come in, even though they didn't stick around as long as Indy and Prissy did. It was fun to see some veteran Mega Man runners come in and actually like at least try it. So
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, if you want to pick up the game, like, big warning, it is hard.
Yes,
for sure. But it is definitely doable. Easily, quote unquote, getting a sub 20 time in it. I'm just gonna, like, I'm always comparing it to the effort I put into these things. Like, I have maybe put 20 hours into this in total, and I have a 19:29 time, compared to Andy Swee, who has put hundreds of hours already into it to get to his time, you know. But yeah, it's definitely doable getting sub 20. So and getting sub 20 basically puts you in the top 10. Like, I'm still 9th place at this point, so
yeah,
you can easily get over my time, for sure.
To put it into perspective, I just looked at my run. I have 4.5 hours into the speed run, and I have a 24-minute time. So
yeah, there you go. Once you learn the tricks here and there, like, it really helps you a lot for a lot of things. The biggest gripe with this game is Cutman. Like, yeah. It's not only casually, it's just speedrun wise as well. It's just a brutal start to the game, so there's a lot of resets just going there.
Yeah, that's why I said, like, in my thoughts and history section, like, if it wasn't for Cutman, this might be my favorite Mega Man in the Game Boy series. But the fact that Cutman is so hard, and that barrier to entry casually and as a speedrunner is just that curve is so high, and that skill cap is so high. It's just like, it pushed me. If it pushed me away, and I like brutally hard video games that are unfair, like, if it's pushed me away, like, it's pushed other people away. So
yeah, so definitely be warned, but it's an amazing speedrun. Like, that's all I can say. It's one of my favorite speedruns.
It's
even I still like it. I would maybe consider doing it again, so that's saying a lot.
It's a very satisfying speedrun. I would say all Mega Man speedruns, with the exception of 2 Game Boy, are very satisfying speedruns. Just because of the pure difficulty of a Mega Man game, right? Like, Mega Man's fair, but it's tough. It's fair except for Mega Man 3 Game Boy, but they're tough games. So like, an actual speedrun of it, and like getting even just getting a time, you know, is satisfying in itself. So
yeah. it is hard, but it's also a nice introduction into the mechanics of Mega Man speedruns. Because this one is definitely low on switching weapons and things like that, and you don't have to worry about sliding or anything like that. So it's a good introduction, at least, for some of the technically more impressive / harder ones on NES. So, yeah, it's a good start.
Or menuing, for that matter. Because that becomes a big issue when it comes to, like, Mega Man NES stuff, so...
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll hit that later. So yeah, we're gonna take another quick short break here. This is the unknown song, or the unused song rather. So, hope you enjoy it, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. So we'll touch on some community events here. We actually got some because marathon season's starting to warm back up here. We'll start off with probably the best relay that we'll ever get to watch, which is the Kirby relay. This is the third question mark. This is the third Kirby relay, I believe it is. It's going to happen April 3rd, and oddly enough, they're not having Kirby's Dream Land 1 in it because no one wanted to run Kirby's Dream Land 1. I volunteered to be an alternate, and then we were like, well, no one wants to run it, so we're not going to have it in the relay. So, no Kirby's Dream Land 1. However, they will have Kirby's Dream Land 2 and Kirby's Block Ball for Game Boy.
Yay.
So, that's happening on April 3rd. I don't know the channel per se, but kind of keep an eye on Twitch. More specifically, like Swordsman Kirby and people and Shasta, people that are really involved with the Kirby community, way more than I am. I'll maybe retweet it if I see it. But Swordsman Kirby and Mr. Shasta are the two you probably want to follow to see what channel and what time that's starting, since this is a Japanese versus American relay. So next thing we got is RGL's Retrothon. Submissions to this close on March 14th. I don't know when this episode comes out, so and Retrothon is happening April 24th through May 1st. I've already submitted 2 games to this. I submitted Jill of the Jungle and Hugo 3 MS-DOS games. I'm going to submit some Game Boy games. I just haven't decided which Game Boy games I'm going to submit yet. Next thing we got is Calithon's Gold Rush number 2. These are little mini marathons that Calithon puts on. This is happening March 13th. Again, I don't know when this episode comes out. Submissions for this are closed, obviously. Then we have Mid-Spring Speed Fling, which is put on by Midwest Speed Fest. This is going on April 22nd through April 25th. Submissions for this is closed, and are you ready? This is going to be an in-person and online event.
Wow.
This will be a hybrid event, unless something bad happens. Right. Unless something really bad happens, then, it's going to be an online event. But as of right now, it is going to be an hybrid event. So that's kind of cool.
That is exciting.
Yeah. That's what we got for upcoming marathons. That's what we got for upcoming marathons. We may have more in the upcoming episodes with Power Up with Pride and GDQ and whatnot. But as of right now, this is what we have. So yeah, we can hop over to listener questions, which there's a couple real ones, but I have one. You said that you were going to talk about the white suit on Mega Man, and you didn't.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, that's why I wanted to tie this in here, because you had some quote-unquote joke questions as well. So, like you said, why is Mega Man blue? Is he cold? Is he made of water? Is he actually Water Man? So, the reason why Mega Man is blue, and a lot of people will think like, oh, it's because of the NES, because they had to have a nice contrast so you would see the character, blah, blah, blah. No, that wouldn't make sense, because he changes colors when he has a power-up. So, originally, Mega Man was gonna be white, and that's why it kind of ties into the cover for the European one, but it has nothing to do with it. But yeah, originally he was gonna be white, but the creator who made the sprite work saw that the animations didn't get portrayed well enough on the NES while he was white, so he changed it to a light blue color, so the animations would just come out better. That's the reason why he's blue. So originally he was white. Oh.
Yeah, I can see that. With the animations, they kind of probably just blend into one another.
Yeah, indeed. That. So, yeah. There you go. That's why Mega Man is actually blue. And now he's known as the Blue Bomber. That's also why, like, I made that joke in a drawing, like, with Mega Man and Proto Man standing next to each other. And Proto Man is actually called Blues, while Mega Man is the blue robot. So it's like a dumb joke, but yeah. So yeah, originally he was supposed to be white. So yeah, there we go. But yeah, let's see the questions. Yeah, Ariel asked, "Why is this a bad game?" But he clearly was talking about Mega Man 2 game.
Clearly,
so, we're just ignoring that question completely. Ariel also asked, is that why there's no Waterman on Mega Man 1? Tying into your questions, is he actually Waterman? There still is no Waterman. No. Waterman doesn't exist in Mega Man. The only thing that comes close is Aquaman, which basically means water, but sounds cooler.
I mean, we've had a few Robot Masters in water. You know, like
there are a lot of water-based ones, but they're an actual Waterman doesn't exist in the Mega Man.
All right, Capcom, if you're listening, Mega Man 12, Waterman.
Waterman. It's just too
get rid of
late.
that. Get rid of that double gear shit, though. No one wants that.
Yeah, no, I don't want that anymore either. Yeah, but yeah. So Ariel asks another question, an actual question here. Why the great occurrence of mixing Robot Masters from the NES games? I think it's just something they went with and they just used it for the other games. Like, I don't think there's an actual reasoning behind it. That it was just a cool idea.
I think yeah, it could be a cool idea, but I also think that like this game came out after Mega Man 4, right? Yeah. So like we were already like at the end of the Mega Man series for NES. So, if we're making a Mega Man Game Boy game, Mega Man 1, like, where are we going to start it? Mega Man 5? Like, that kind of doesn't make sense, right? Unless we made it, you know, its own spin-off, like what Mega Man 5 Game Boy turns into. So, like, I feel like they just kind of tied Mega Man 1 and 2 together to, like, try and catch the series up. So, like, you have Mega Man 1 and 2 in DWR, then you have 2 and 3 in Mega Man 2, 3 and 4 in Mega Man 3, then 4 and 5 in Mega Man 4, and then Mega Man 5 Game Boy is just its own unique entity. You know, but I feel like they did it for, it's a cool thing, but I also feel like they did it to catch up the Game Boy series or franchise up with the NES series or franchise. Since the Game Boy came out in 89, the first Mega Man comes out in 91. Like, we're already well past the first 4. You know, we're already done with half of the Mega Man entries for NES. So,
yeah, I mean, and it's just a nice throwback instead of just going completely original.
Yeah.
I mean, it was their first time. And like Inafune said in his quote, like the guy who was team leader for this game was a huge Mega Man fan, so of course he would just build on what already was there. And it's a safe bet as well, because again, like I said before we started talking about the game, a lot of people still don't realize Mega Man is on Game Boy. But it's a good marketing thing, promotion thing to show that, like, hey, remember these guys from the early Mega Man games? They're in this game as well. So that's definitely something that would have come to mind with them. It's really hard to find any actual information about the development of this game besides that quote. So yeah, I think it's just a few things, and it was a nice idea, and they just sticked with it. So. So and then
I like Legs' I like Legs' question here. What bosses would you take out and put in if you got to pick which bosses should go in?
Yeah.
I would remove Fireman, and I would replace Fireman with Gutsman. That's all I would do. Because we already have Flame Man already in the next 4 Robot Masters. So why do we need two why do we need 2 fire robots?
Yeah, that's true.
So like I would replace Fireman with either Gutsman or Bombman. I wouldn't replace any of the 4 Mega Man 2 Robot Masters, because I get to face off against the other 4 in Mega Man 2.
In the next one.
So I wouldn't replace any of them. I would just replace Fireman with either Guts or Bomb.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't replace any, to be honest. Like, I think they made the right choice with those 4. Especially because, like, Bomb Man and Gutsman's... The way they fight... for their first attempt to make a Mega Man game, I think it would have been really hard to program those 2 in well enough for it to work. Because, like, Gutsman thing is throw very huge rocks that split up into 4 sprites, and do a ground pound that causes Mega Man to, like, shake. I guess that was a little bit too much for them. And the same with, like, Bomb Man. When he throws his bombs, like, there's a huge explosion, and I think it wouldn't have worked well on Game Boy at all. Like, Fireman, they actually changed up a bit, because in the original game, when Fireman shoots out his huge fireball, the little flames linger on the screen, and you can get hurt by them, and they removed that from this version because it would probably have caused way too many issues on a Game Boy. So I think they went with the correct robots. What maybe, but again, they probably just ran out of space. Maybe like one more boss in between that is not a Robot Master, but like another original boss or something like that. Just yeah. Another boss, like it shouldn't have been one from Mega Man 1 or 2, because I can't really think of any noticeable bosses from that, but yeah, I don't know. One extra boss would have been nice. That is not a Robot Master.
That's fair. Almost like the Susie in Mega Man 3 or 2 or whatever it is.
Yeah, something like that indeed. Yeah, but again, I'm pretty sure they wanted to, but they were just not familiar enough with a platform.
Or like a Dark Shadow stage, like a Mega Man 3 NES. That would have been interesting. Yeah. But yeah, no, I get their choice. Like, I get their 4 choices, right? Because they're just the enemies are just basic projectiles, right? Like their attack is just a basic small projectile. I get it. Like, yeah, Gutsman, like, there's, like we mentioned earlier, like, there's not a lot of maneuverability because they didn't shrink down the sprites at all. So I definitely get why Gutsman and Bombman aren't in it. But I'm just saying, I would rather see them in it than Fireman.
Yeah.
Or replace
Flame
Man with another Mega Man 2 boss. Like, I don't want 2 fire Robot Masters in the same game.
Yeah. They could have maybe changed that up, sure. Yeah.
Especially since you don't use Flame Man's weapon at all. Do you?
Yeah. Oh, Heat Man. Yeah.
Heat Man, whatever his name is.
Yeah, no, it has its uses. Like, there's one part in the space station where you can use it to get an extra life if you want to. But basically, for the first phase of Wily's machine, that is the weakness if you charge it up completely. And it's also actually used in the speedrun as the weapon because it fires a lot faster than anything else. And if you charge it at least to the second level, it does a little bit more damage. So it's an easy way to get rid of that boss quickly. But you can use anything else as well. But yeah, Heatman's weapon is basically for Wily Phase 1.
Or we can use a different Robot Master. That's my only gripe, is that there were just 2 Fire Robot Masters. That's my only issue.
I can definitely see that, yeah.
Is that all the Mega Man? That's all the Mega Man questions. Mega Man.
Yep, that's all of them.
Also, did you see that there's more leaks happening with Maverick Hunter, which was the Mega Man first-person shooter that got canceled?
No.
Speaking of Mega Man news, yeah, I just read it on Twitter a little bit ago. Well, you were taking a break, and I was bored, and Legs probably didn't want to hear me hum the Mega Man 3 theme song anymore, so... So I've been watching Fast to play Mega Man 3 because he got back into speedrunning again, and I enjoy
he's back at
I enjoy watching Fast to stream. So, yeah. Do you want to do the outro since it was your intro? Hell yeah!
If my voice doesn't die halfway through, because I am absolutely wrecked at this point.
Here's what happens: if your voice dies halfway through, I'll say the last word that you said, then Legs can just, like, blend the word together, and it would just sound like it was just a normal outro.
Yeah, that's absolutely gonna happen. Alright, but yeah, that's all we have to say about Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge. And we've covered all the questions we had, so it's time for our usual outro, which is... absolutely not scripted, and that's why we never know what we're really going to say throughout this section. But yeah, you can, of course, get in contact with us to share your thoughts and suggestions. And you can do that in a lot of ways. The best probably is to comment on our tracks, wherever you find them, so we can read them. But you can also contact us personally, of course. Like, for instance, you can find me on Discord as Moelle, but you probably need to be in the same server to find me. I think that's how Discord works. But yeah, you can also contact me on Twitch or on Twitter, of course, or on YouTube, and that's very easy because it's all the same handle, which is Moelle, Moelleuh. And of course, like I mentioned a few times before, I have an Instagram and I just post some random things on there that don't really tie into anything usually, but like the last thing I posted were my draw maps while playing through Sword of Hope. Like, nobody cares about those. It's bad pictures, to be honest, as well, because I'm absolutely bad at taking pictures. But yeah, if you want some random behind the scenes, what is Moelle doing with his live stuff, that's a place to go to. But where can they find you, EBC?
You can find me at eBloodyCandy on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. That's right. And you can find me at just EBC in the Discord. I'm pretty simple when it comes to the Discord life.
Yeah.
I don't post, like, my Instagram posts are a lot of art related things, like drawings and photography and stuff, so you don't get to see too much behind the scenes of my life outside of just me being outside. And then
Yeah.
You can find our awesome, wonderful producer Legs at SprintingLegs on Twitch and Twitter, Legs on YouTube, Legs in Discord, and then her project website, www.sprintinglegs.com, where you can find all of her projects that she is working on with herself or with Petra, and also the Game Boy database that we have all been working on and trying to get rolling. So
yeah, but if you have any suggestions for her, for like making these podcasts, make sure to contact her. Like, for instance, removing all of my audio because you don't like listening to me or something like that. Just make sure to contact her, and she'll make sure to do that. She's probably actually gonna do that, right?
We're keeping the Petri dish joke in.
But yeah, all of that information can of course easily be accessed by visiting our website, which is thisisgameboy.com. There's links to all of our social media and contact opportunities throughout there, and it's a lot easier than actually typing things into your browser, because that is lame. That is not cool. That is very dumb to do. But of course you can find some other stuff on there as well. For instance, how to support us. And with support us, we mean with money. Like you can of course support us just by listening to us, or you can like our tracks on wherever you like them, or rate our tracks or things like that, or just spreading the news about that we exist so that more people will listen to us. But if you do want to help us out from a financial point of view, because we do have to pay bills for making this podcast as well, you can do that in two ways. One of them is by visiting our Patreon, which is just Patreon/thisisgameboy, where you can do like a monthly subscription thing. If you don't know what Patreon is, with an amount that you choose, you can do whatever you want. I think it just starts at $1 and goes up from there. And yeah, all the money we get through that will, like I said, be used to pay our bills, which is the SoundCloud account, our website account, and things like that. And of course, we want to pay Legs more, because most of the time she's doing this for free. And it's nice to give her some money for all the time she puts into making us sound way better than we actually are in real life. If a monthly subscription is not your thing, because you already have a Netflix account, you have a Disney Plus account, you have an HBO Max account, like you have all of these accounts, like Amazon Prime, Twitch is the same, actually, that's also Amazon Prime.
Twitch Turbo.
But if Twitch Turbo, does that still
it does,
exist?
yeah.
Whatever. Soon you can subscribe to us on our Twitter. What are they calling it? Super Twitter,
Super tweets.
I don't know. You can do that as well. But no, seriously, we do have like a PayPal account as well, where you can just like do a one-time donation or something to help us out, and you can find that the button to go to that on our website for sure. Of course, Patreon allows us to give you access to some exclusive things, and that ties into Discord and stuff like that, so that's easily for us to set up. PayPal does not have that integration, so if you do want to, well, we are gonna give you the same benefits, but we will need a little bit more information from you, so let us know in the notes like what your username on our Discord is, or things like that, or any other way we can we can show you the behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, make sure to definitely do that if you want to support us through PayPal.
Yeah, and don't pay Paul. Yeah, we don't know a Paul. I don't. Well, yeah. I don't know. Well, I know a couple Pauls, I guess, but don't pay them because they're you know, whatever. Just don't pay. Don't pay Paul.
There's no Paul tied to this podcast at this moment. Maybe in the future there will be a Paul.
Maybe.
But yeah, Maybe. You never
And
know.
at that point, we'll forget about this joke, and then someone will bring it up, and we'll just look at them funny because we won't remember it.
Yeah, and then we will just not pay Paul. I mean,
And this is why we're getting muted for the last minute of the outro. Oh, man.
so yeah, all dumb jokes aside, and that's about all we have for this time. So I'm looking at the notes here, and I don't see a new game yet, so I'll just have to wait here a little bit now.
This is because Suffrum needs to understand that we pick our games on the fly.
Yeah. This happens every time.
Let's do Amazing Penguin. Because it's
Yeah.
a puzzler, it's a puzzle action game, which is a genre we don't really cover all that much. And it's adorable, and it has a killer soundtrack, and it's made by Natsume. So,
Yeah. And it will be episode 36, and it's been 18 episodes since we've done Pingu. So that works out.
oh wow.
Because 36 is 18
Yeah.
times 2. So
So what's 18 times
Yeah,
3?
that-
Because that's when we have to do Penguin Wars.
oh no.
And then 18 times 4, we'll have to do Penguin Land.
Oh god. No, let's stop after this one.
Yeah, so we're going to do Amazing Penguin next episode. Next time you hear from both of us. Yeah, there's a lot of newting that happens, especially when the pencil hits you. So yeah, next time you hear from Mo and I together, we'll be discussing Amazing Penguin, which is an adorable action puzzler for the Game Boy. So until next time, ta-ta.
Later, man. Yeah. All of the projects Lex is making in her pizza dish.
I like that joke a lot.